Want to make sure that you're catching the feed, Brother Anthony, before we get started. Um, you can turn off your. You can. I think your mic is muted, Brother Anthony. I think
All
there we
right,
go.
all right, yeah, right. Greetings, everyone. I'm sorry about that. Greetings, brothers.
Greetings,
Peace.
man. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to be seen. I'm not seeing you yet. Let's see here. Okay.
All right. So we're set to go for another week as people are joining in. We've been getting some great responses, gentlemen, on what we're doing. Uh, the health show that we did last Monday, for the people who may have missed it, we covered autoimmune illnesses, and I'm getting a lot of messages from folks with autoimmune illnesses, from multiple sclerosis to lupus to um, Hashimoto's disease and Graves' disease and a host of others that the research that we gave people on Monday was groundbreaking for them, and they had never heard a lot of that information before. And a lot of these people were taking hydroxychloroquine, um, and so they're looking at that now, and they're looking at Dr. McDonald's work, and they're looking at Dr. Coimbra's work as well, and they're instituting the Herbal Results Protocol, which just includes the olive leaf extract, the vitamin D, and the magnesium. Some people have been doing this for a few weeks now, and so they're seeing results already. So, those of you who have an autoimmune illness, I would say please track down Monday's show because we went deep into detail. We'll be doing a part two next Monday. We covered the lecture of Dr. Alan McDonald um, last Monday, showing you the true cause of these autoimmune illnesses that has really given people a lot of insight. And then we're going to do Dr. Coimbra's protocol and go over an interview with Dr. Coimbra on Monday so that you see both sides of it, whereas Herbal Results has an integrated approach where we combine Dr. McDonald's work and Dr. Coimbra's work into a unified approach to dealing with these autoimmune illnesses. Then also diet plays a big role. Uh, you definitely don't want to eat anything inflammatory. So I hope that that was helpful for a lot of people, and I know it was because I got the messages and a lot of people being grateful and thankful for that information. And I know that for the Know the Ledge and the Know the Ledger audience, where can people find that red pill?
That will be on Patreon /Red Pillar. Shout out
Excellent,
to, yes,
excellent.
it lives on a Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. Come
Well,
and come and take advantage of it. And we have a cyber library that goes all the way back to 2017 with a whole bunch of content. You know what I mean? You literally could just dive in.
excellent. And we've got a whole library of information, and those people who have signed up for the Patreon with Red Pill, you get access to that information. I would say week after week, we are giving you all value that you're probably not getting elsewhere. What I mean by that is we're not only just like giving you ideas, but we're giving you scientific studies, we're giving you testimonials, we're giving you all the different levels of evidence that you would need to make a very valued and educated decision in how you want to move forward with your health. And today is Wednesday, and we deal with wealth. So Monday is our health show, Wednesday is our wealth show. And you need both to function in this world. You need good health
Uh,
and you need good wealth. Um, Brother Anthony and Brother Red Pill, before we get started, please, I want to give time for you all to give comments about either of our shows that we've been doing, what you all been thinking, what you all been hearing, what's the messages that you've been getting on Monday about the Monday Health Show or the Wednesday Wealth Show.
uh, I'll start. My audience is extremely grateful, you know, because they've been dealing with health related issues. And I don't know about everybody else who've been hearing the backlash, but there's a lot of frauds out there. There's a lot of fraudulent activity out there. And there are people, especially in the wake of Dr. Sebi's untimely, you know, ascension, there's been a plethora of, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube healers that popped up out of nowhere. And they really just dealers of death, because they've been contributing to the downfall and the actual worsening health conditions of the community. And I'm not just blaming that. There's a bunch of factors. So you came at the right time, my brother, with the solutions, with the results, with the receipts. The testimonials are a testament to, restoring what we call the trust economy, where people can actually trust. And by trusting, their nervous system is relaxed. And I feel that trust and just knowing that the product works, it has somewhat of a placebo effect. But man, your products are powerful, the feedback is beautiful, and I know that you are out there helping people in ways that they need it. So, and let's not even talk about the wealth. There's so many people that took advantage of your picks, your early picks, your logic, you know what I'm saying, what you brought to the table. And for my day traders and for all of my investors and whatnot, I've been getting a lot of feedback from that as well, and they're very much pleased. You know what I'm saying? So all around the border, it's an A+.
Yeah, I say ashe to all of that, brother Red Pill. Science cannot be debated, of course. The brother set the new standard, man, that you're not seeing from many out there, including your white coats. Well, with that, well, like you said, Red Pill, with that scientific evidence, protocol, and testimonies. So those are the new standards, and the feedback has always been heavy around here, man. So you get testimonies from some of the callers that tune in to the station, and so and the wealth, man. What can I say about that shit? I got my own testimony about the wealth, so and going to bring more testimonies on in that area. And there's some folks out there too. So yeah, bro, we appreciate what you do and what you do over on your end, Red Pill. The new standards that you brothers are setting out there is unmatched by any. So let's get it, man. Let's get it started.
Thank you, brother Anthony. I appreciate you, King. And likewise, my audience has been introduced to your channel and to your platform and what you do. I want to salute you, brother Anthony Sankofa Radio, and you are a staple in the community. So salute to what you do. Salute to your audience. And yeah, this is all. It all works together. Everything is a beautiful combination. You know.
Yeah, I got to get you on still, man. So you got to let me know what day you're free
Schedule.
on. We got to set up not only set you up for the radio, but set you up for coming to the city of Birmingham, Alabama, and
Yes,
coming back. I would say coming back to Birmingham and Miles.
we
So
will.
I want to first get you on the radio and talk some.
Some talk.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
I'm
Let's
right
get
down
it.
the block too. So I'm honored, my brother. And we're gonna turn Birmingham into Birmingham Veg.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
we,
Right.
I got some, yeah, I got some beautiful supporters out there in Alabama. So
All right,
I
let's
can't
go.
wait.
Excellent, y'all. So let's get to it. People are tuned in. Let's get to this money.
Can I
Um,
start it out?
yeah, please do.
I want to talk about this new economy that's bubbling right now, sports based economy, right? World Cup, NBA Finals. That alone has lifted a lot of people out of stagnant positions and whatnot. I mean, man, the amount of money that's being made is ridiculous. So I would like to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Family, especially for those that have been learning the AI over the past 6 months, 1 year, when we talk about agentic AI that actually works for you, right? Higgsfield MCP would come to mind. Atlas Cloud MCP would come to mind, mixed in with Anthropic Claude. I'm just putting the word out there for all of the family to take full advantage of the World Cup, take full advantage of the Knicks winning the chip and whatnot. It's very easy to create mock-ups now by using ChatGPT and also Nano Banana. You could create mock-ups. You could put any image that comes in, anything in your head, any idea that you have, you could now articulate it. You could design it by articulating it to the AI. You don't need to wait for a designer. You don't have to spend money on Fiverr. You could save that money for your marketing, right? That's where it's going to hit. You create a design, you create a mock-up, and then you put the money on the marketing, because everybody around the planet is searching for both this championship gear from New York City, and they're also searching for the World Cup gear from all of these host, the host nations, and all of these players and all of these nations that are playing. Please do not miss this opportunity. It is a buyer's market right now. So yeah, I would say that. Just put that out there.
Yeah, but let's talk like logistically. What you just mentioned, some people don't know like what a mock-up is. What are you seeing as the economic opportunity here that's related to these sports events, like in terms of how someone would make money?
The way that somebody would make money is, I'm gonna give you this will be the funnel right here.
Mhm.
It starts with the idea. Okay, so I might be watching a match and I keep hearing the name Ronaldo, or I see a team that people are going crazy about, or I just, I might be from one of these teams that are winning and whatnot. I go ahead, I get the brand colors, I either get the player, or I'm going ahead and I'm going to grab the logo and whatnot. A mock-up is basically taking a design and putting it on any type of surface, whether it's a blank canvas, whether it's a piece of apparel, a t-shirt. So a mock-up is a blank, right? A mock-up is a blank. There was a website called placeit.com, placeit.com, the premier mock-up sites. And what you would do is you would create an image. I used to use Photoshop. Now I use ChatGPT image 2, or I use Nano Banana, which is a free product from Google, and basically type out a prompt. I want Messi wearing a Knicks jersey, pair of Timberlands, holding up the World Cup and the NBA Finals in both hands. Boom, press enter. It gives me an image. I take that image, right? Now I go onto the site, placeit.com, and I basically upload that JPEG or that PNG, drop it on a mug, a t-shirt, a hoodie, blankets, curtains, bathroom stalls, rugs, everything that you could basically throw an image on. You put those on, you put the mock-ups on those images, then you generate the image and you put it on either your Etsy site, your Shopify site, or your Facebook or your IG. You could build out these separate sites now for just merch alone. It doesn't have to be your main page. Then I'll go into Meta, which is Facebook, and I will start an ad campaign, and I will put money on these campaigns, and I will geolocate and geo-target an audience. I will find out who's out there around the world searching for the product that I just created, basically, and introduce them to the product that I have, sit back and let nature take its course.
Okay, excellent. And are you going to be employing this strategy for anything that you're doing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably do on my Patreon and on my school, SKOOL, Imaginarium. I may have a public build out where I'm just going through those actual steps and show everybody the steps that it takes to do this and whatnot, and they could just copy what I'm doing and do it on their own. Rinse and repeat. You literally could do this you could start now and you could do this the whole entire year because it applies to the Super Bowl. It applies to the whoever wins the NBLA, the World Series. It applies all around the border, but this is the best way to jump into this space right now because it's booming. So it's not stale, it's very electrified, very magnetic and whatnot. The ticker tape parade for the Knicks is tomorrow. So I would be making merch today, leading all the way up into this weekend, and then I will switch over to the World Cup. But the Knicks is gonna sell all year.
Right.
Yeah, brother Pill, how do you avoid, how do you get around some of those, those issues with those trademarks and copyright
Trademarks.
issues? The what they call intellectual property issues.
Yeah. Well, there's a rule of thumb that if you could tweak something, if you could put 3 to 4 tweaks on what is known as a copyrighted logo and whatnot, then you basically own it. That's your IP. So you can't outright, thank you for bringing that up. You just can't outright take the logo of a brand and start selling that logo. You will face some type of backlash and whatnot. You don't want to be legally responsible for, what they would call bootlegging. So I would definitely tweak it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's
Right.
just certain small tweaks that you do to any type of design that could make it now yours.
I got you. Okay, thank you, bro.
Yeah. Change the color up, the colorway, maybe switch a word or something, add a word into some things. But yeah, there's ways around that. And of course, the proceeds could now go into SpaceX.
Okay. Let's talk
Proceeds.
about that.
Yeah, you grab the windfall of the money coming in right now, and then you put it on one of the hottest IPOs. Anthropic is lined up, OpenAI is lined up, and of course SpaceX is here. That's where I would take let's say that I invest 5,000 into the merch, right, and then I make 10. All right, 5 is going back into the merch, and the next 5 is going to go into stocks. And then, of course,
Okay.
rinse and repeat.
Okay. And you brought up SpaceX, and a lot of people have been asking about that. I want to give you all an analysis on SpaceX. Um, I do think it's a generational stock, but I'm also going to give you what some of the limitations I am seeing um, on SpaceX. All right. So this is going to be something that you all aren't going to be getting this type of information other places, but I'm going to share my analysis with you all. I do believe that SpaceX is a great stock, and it will be a great stock. It will be something that will be growing. However, we got to ask ourselves again. This is why I use the concept called first principles thinking. So, first principles thinking allows you to cut all the white noise out and get straight to the chase, right? So, we ask ourselves a few questions. Why are we investing money? I want people to think about this like on a very kindergarten level. The only reason why you're investing money is that you're looking to transform the money that you already have into more wealth, right? That's the only reason. So the only reason why, let's just say, again, I plant fruit trees. The only reason why you would move a tree, right, from one soil to the next is that if you believe that the next soil is a better environment for better growth for your tree. What does that mean? Number one, why are we even talking about stocks? Um, it's because stocks will grow your money faster than your money just sitting in the bank. We've gone over that week after week after week. Bank of America gives 0.01%, whereas traditionally, if you've invested into the S&P 500, you get something like at least an 8% return per year doing nothing. So let's ask a few questions based on first principles thinking, because people, I like to parse out ideas as simply as possible. So if you ask yourself a question, and this is for people to understand the importance of why we're talking about stocks. Would you rather be given $1 or one stock that's in the stock market? I'm not even saying what stock it is. I'm just saying, would you rather be given $1 or one stock that's in the stock market? Like as a gift, let's just say as a gift. And you can't look at the stock that's in the stock market. You can't look at like the company or anything. They just said you're going to get a gift. You're going to get $1 or one stock. Okay, there's a couple questions that you'd have to ask yourself. Well, what's more valuable, $1 or one stock? Okay, with that $1, if I hold the dollar, what happens to it? It depreciates in value because it depreciates in spending power over time. Always. This is not like you can get $1 from 1950 and the spending dollar of that $1 is more in 2026. No, you could buy many more things with $1 in 1950 than you can in 2026. Same thing applies to 2005. $1 will get you farther in gas. $1 will get you farther in the grocery store than $1 in 2006 than it would in 2026. That means that the dollar is always going down in terms of its value. That's really why your housing prices increase. It's not that your house has gotten better or more attractive. It's actually gotten older, but the price goes up because it's a stationary item. And what it is that it's actually a way to map inflation. So as prices go up in housing, it's actually a way to map inflation. And this is why people get into real estate, because the assumption with getting real estate is that the value is going to go up. It's not really the value that's going up. The spending power of the dollar is going down because literally the house is not more valuable. Particularly a house where there's no, anything surrounding it has improved in any way. But you can literally buy that house, sit on it for 20 years, and you will typically make more money than what you paid for. And that is strictly because of the degradation of the spending power of the dollar over time. So you know that. So then you look at stocks. And so what you want to do is ask yourself a question. On average, are stocks more valuable than dollars? Okay, so the first question that we're going to ask is, and we're talking about publicly listed stocks in the stock market. We're not talking about penny stocks. We're talking about publicly listed stocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to use AI. Okay, and here's what we're going to ask AI. We're going to ask AI a question. And the question is, what is the lowest value that a stock can have in order to be publicly listed? Publicly listed in the U.S. Stock Exchange. All right. So we asked the question, and we're going to have to do it again and get an answer. There's a reason why I'm doing this. It's a very simple reason why I'm doing this. Because I need you to understand what holding on to money does and why people are always investing. Okay. We're not talking about OTC. Okay, here we are. Initial listing requirement to become listed in the New York Stock Exchange. The price needs to be at least $4 a share. So a uniform $4 minimum share for all initial listings, right? So to be listed in the stock market, in the US stock market, it needs to be $4. Now they're saying that some alternative standards are a little slightly lower closing price for the day of $2 to $3. Okay. So that means that to be listed in the stock market, check this out. The minimum price to stay listed in the New York Stock Exchange is $1 per share. It has to be over $1 per share for 30% consecutive days, or it cannot be listed anymore. Okay? Listen, falling below $1 triggers a deficiency notice in a compliance period, typically 180 days, to get the stock price back up. Failure to recover leads to delisting. Okay? So, what they're telling you is that to even get listed, you have to be $4 and you have to maintain anything above $1. What does that mean for a first principles thinking approach? That means that 100% of stocks cannot get listed unless they start out over $4, which is 4 times $1. So that means that a listed stock, for it to get listed, automatically has to be 4 times more valuable than the dollar that you're holding. See, a lot of people don't have you look at these things this way, but I want you to start looking at this way. That you need $4 to buy one stock that is initially listed in the stock market, and you need at least $1 to buy one stock that stays listed in the stock market. Okay? So listen to what I'm saying is that means that one stock will always be more valuable than $1, which means that it's more valuable to get a stock as a gift. Now, a stock can range anywhere from that $1 to thousands of dollars, as we're about to see. That means that your chance of getting something that is greater than $1 is almost 100%. It is actually 100% because it can't get listed if it's under $1. So you have a 100% chance of it either it being equal to the dollar or higher than $1. So that means that the stock is always going to be more valuable than the money. Just listen to what I'm saying. Remember, your $1 is $1, but it's depreciating in value. A stock can depreciate in value too, but the fact that you got the stock as a gift means that it's going to be greater than $1 and typically greater than 4. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's showing you that you've got to, just like there was a time when Bitcoin was cheaper than $1. What that meant was that $1 was more powerful than one Bitcoin. But whenever you need more than $1 to purchase something, that means that that thing is more valuable than $1. Right now, Bitcoin is about $70,000 or whatever it is right now. That means that you have to get 70,000 US dollars to just get one Bitcoin. That shows you how much more powerful Bitcoin is than the dollar. What that means is this. If you're holding on to dollars, you're holding on to inferior value. Listen to what I'm saying. This is very important for people to understand. If you're holding on to $1, like saving it in the bank or saving it under your mattress or whatever, you're actually holding on to inferior value. This is why wealthy people always transfer their dollars into assets, because the dollar is actually one of the most inferior assets, because it's actually a liability. Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why people stay poor is because they're hanging on to liabilities. You have liabilities in your car, You have liabilities in your rent. You know, if you're paying rent, that's a liability because there's no way you're going to get money from your rent. You're not investing. You know, at least when you buy a house, you're paying the bank, but for future value of the house, the equity of the house. So it's still an investment when you buy a house. The point that I'm making is that because poor people are not taught this, poor people think that it's about money. Oh, I got some money. And so what'll happen is you'll see people showing off their money
Right.
when they're actually showing off a liability, because what I just shown you is that one stock will always be greater than $1.
Mm-hmm.
That means that if you're holding on to any dollars, you're losing value.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about money that you have, it's about the assets that you have.
Right.
Because the money is always going down in value. Every year, the inflation eats away at the value of your money. And inflation, they're going to tell you is around 3%, but it's actually more like 8%. The true inflationary rate is 8%. Therefore, if you do not have an investment vehicle or growth vehicle where your money can make more than 8% a year, you're actually losing money by holding on to money. This is very important. This is why we're always talking about investments, and we've chosen stocks as the easiest way to make a come up because it comes with the least amount of headaches.
Right.
You can do real estate, but real estate has a whole bunch of middlemen and a whole bunch of headaches. Anyone who's bought land or a house knows that. With real estate, you gotta get an appraiser, you got an inspector, you got to get a real estate lawyer, you've got to get a title company, you've got to get a real estate agent, you've got to get this, you've got to get that, all these people in between the transaction, and then you get a bank involved. So now you got 8 different people, and none of them are working for free. All of them are eating up at your profit. Now, when you do get the land, then you've got taxes to pay every year, real estate taxes. You may have permits that you have to pay for. You may have advertising that you have to pay for tenants. Then you're going to have to deal with the collection of the rent. You're going to have to deal with maintenance of the property. You're going to have to deal with upkeep, this and that. There's a lot to deal with the property. And then when it's time to sell it, it's illiquid. It can sit on the market for a year, 2 years, 2, 3 years before you can even sell it. And then when you sell it, you have a capital gains tax.
Right.
All right. So,
all right, brother, before you move on, we got a couple callers who've been waiting to get in for 10 minutes. So it's maybe a good time to get them in.
yeah.
Let's go to Brother John, and we'll get to you, Brother Kevin, after that. Brother John, you on with Brother Red Pill and Brother Heru talking wealth results. Brother John.
Good to be here. Talk to you guys and listening to what you've been saying and following along. And man, I've been trying to put a lot of the stuff that I've been hearing from Heru in practice. One question I want to talk about, I asked about on the topic that he's dealing with now. A lot of people think that the best thing to do is to pay off their mortgage to the point where they don't owe anything and quote basically live for free. Is this your advice to leave your equity in your house? Or do you have any advice on what to do with the equity in your house to invest it or just leave it as very fun? I'll yield there.
Okay. So, I mean, there's different ways to pay off your mortgage, but typically if you're going to pay off your mortgage, it would be accelerated payments. So the accelerated, someone's talking about, yeah, John Ensley, don't worry. We're going to get to the SpaceX. Don't worry. Just hold on a second. We're going to get to it. And the point that I made was building up towards it, but let's just answer this question. The show that we did last week and the week before, we showed that if you'd have just dollar cost average into Netflix for 5 years, for the first 5 years of Netflix, and the dollar cost average would have been 20% of your salary. If let's say you were making $50,000 a year and you took 20% of that and you did it for 5 years, it came out to 20% of the 50,000 is $10,000 a year. 10,000 divided by 12 months would have been about $800 a month. So if you put $800 a month into Netflix, which would have been 20% of your income if you're making $50,000 a year in 2005, if you did it for 5 years, for the first 5 years, and then you stopped dollar cost averaging, in other words, you stopped putting $800 into Netflix, and you did it for 5 years, and you stopped at 2000, I think it was 2007, so it's 2002 to 2007. We calculated that you'd have, and if you held on to the shares in 2026, all those shares you'd have accumulated would be worth $22 million now. So now we're talking about opportunity cost. So the question is that $800 that you put into Netflix, should you have put it, let's just say you didn't decide to put it into stocks, you decided to pay off your mortgage early and say, I'm going to do $800 a month extra into my mortgage for 5 years. Okay. It's a 30-year mortgage. I don't know, depending on what the price of your mortgage is, maybe it accelerates you to change the 30-year to a 15-year, right? In other words, you're paying it off in 15 years instead of 30 years. Something to be proud about, right? Because now you're living without a mortgage payment. But remember, you still have real estate taxes, so you still have to pay taxes unless you monetize your house in some way. Now, here's the problem with that. Let's say that your house is worth $300,000. And you did this payment, and the house is now worth $500,000. You made a $200,000 come up, and the house is worth $500,000. And so now, let's say you own the house, and you're sitting on a $500,000 asset. That the only liability is that you have to make, yearly real estate tax payments. So now you've got a wealth of $500,000 just by sitting on your property, right? Because you got it for $300,000. You paying it off in 15 years instead of 30. You put the $800 there. Well, juxtapose that to putting the $800 a month into Netflix. You'd be sitting on $22 million. Your mortgage would have been paid off. You'd have paid more. Let's say it was a $300,000 property. The property is now worth double, $600,000, and you paid it off. Maybe you paid, by the end of it, probably $600,000. So you're at a wash. In other words, you're equal now because because of the mortgage, the way to do mortgage, you end up paying double what the actual cost of the house was. So let's just go 300 to 600. So now you paid your $600,000, but you don't have any stock in anything.
Mm-hmm.
You got $600,000 worth of property that you paid for, and you paid $600,000 for. Even though they're saying that, you've got $600,000 worth of equity, but you paid $600,000 worth of mortgage on a $300,000 property.
Mm-hmm.
But you did not get into the opportunity to buy stock because you took all the $800 and paid your mortgage early. So based on that math, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a continuing mortgage and sit on $22 million, or to have your house paid for and just sit on the value of your house, which would be $600,000? So basically, you paid $600,000 to have $600,000 value with no other value. Whereas you could have paid the mortgage, that extra $800, instead of putting it into your mortgage, you put it into a stock that grew, that gave you $22 million, which would allow you to buy several of those houses.
I see.
You get what I'm saying? So the point of the matter is, pay investment first, pay debt second.
My thought process is, I'm close to that age where, I've been at my house for only some odd years. And so I'm getting close to that 30. And so, understanding what you're saying, I'm not paying that extra in on the house, but to pay it in on your stock and stuff. Now that I'm getting close enough to where sooner or eventually my house will be paid off, should I utilize that money in the stock market versus just letting it sit there?
I hear you.
Right. So when you're talking about the equity, you're talking about a home equity loan? It depends on your cash flow situation. Or you're talking about the money that you'd have paid for your mortgage, you transferred over now into buying stocks. Is that what you're asking?
More on the home equity loan.
Yeah, so now you're getting a loan. You're getting a loan to buy stocks. I wouldn't necessarily advise that. I say you use extra cash flow. So here's what I would do. I would not advise to do a HELOC to do that because you're taking up more debt. What I would do is this: if you're paying $2,000 a month for your mortgage and those payments stop because you're finished paying off the house, I'm saying to you, use that same $2,000 that you're paying a mortgage that no longer exists anymore,
Mhm.
and apply it to a growth vehicle, which would be the stock market or whatever you decide is a growth vehicle that works for you. I've decided that the stock market is a better growth vehicle because it comes with the least amount of headaches. That's the only reason why I'm talking about the stock market. It's the least amount of headaches, and it has the most upside if you know what you're doing. And if you see the wealthy people on earth, they're wealthy through stocks, not through cash. They're wealthy through real estate, but they're really wealthy through stocks. You talk about Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, these people, their billionaire status comes from their stock ownership. So when we start looking at these things and start doing a reflective analysis, you start understanding the pathway to wealth and what are the easier pathways as opposed to the most laborious pathways. And I like to do the easiest pathways possible.
So continue to DCA and purchasing stocks like SpaceX is what you're saying, instead of just not paying anything, or when you're done purchasing or buying your home, DCA on SpaceX monthly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about SpaceX. I know we had another call.
Yeah. Let's go to the other. John, appreciate your call, my brother. Let's go to Brother Kevin. Brother Kevin, you on with Brother Red Pill and Brother Heru.
Hey, Dr. We want to peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, my brother.
Thank you for the valuable information you shared this morning. I was going to ask you what's a good stock to go into. As you mentioned, I heard you say SpaceX, but I know they've been doing some renovations. I know some people in Houston were talking about how much they're building down there. And basically, that's one thing. Two questions. One, start off in stocks. What would be one you just suggest that we get into?
Yeah, so we're going to get into it. Every week I give people my stock picks. So you're going to get that. I'm telling you the ones that I've just started dollar cost averaging into. And the story behind this is that from 2011, I dollar cost averaged Bitcoin for many years. So every month, every week, whenever I would have money, I would just buy Bitcoin. So I got into Bitcoin when it was under $100. So I've been, a holder of Bitcoin for, many years and had a lot of Bitcoin. So the point is that every now and then there's an opportunity to buy into something that's going to change the world, right? So we're talking about something like Amazon, right? In terms of retail, we're talking about something like Netflix in terms of video streaming for subscription. We're talking about something like Tesla in terms of electric vehicles, Google in terms of the internet. Every now and then you get a rare opportunity for a starting industry that changes the world, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily be a particular company. It's the industry that's transformative. And I always say, like in the 1920s, it would have been the automobile versus the horse and the buggy. If you're living in the 1920s, the wise money is on buying stocks in the leading companies of automobiles because they're going to change the world and transform the way people travel. Right now, we are at that same place when it comes to artificial intelligence, AI. AI is actually more transformative than any of those things I listed before in terms of what it can do, because it's the first time in which we have a technology that can teach itself without human intervention. This is a big deal, y'all. It transforms everything. So therefore, this is where most of the money is going to go. And last week, I showed you all my analysis, and all I did was I asked 2 questions and 2 questions only. But what's the you can ask, and you ask AI this. You can ask Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok. These are the questions. Is like, once you identify that AI is the industry that is basically the new IPO, Other words, the new emerging industry that you want to put your money in early. We're still early in AI. Really, you should have been putting your money from last year, a year ago. But I'm just showing you all an example. In the last 3 weeks, I started dollar cost averaging 6 companies. Why 6 companies? Because I simply asked Grok 2 questions. Give me your top performing companies in terms of stock appreciation, your top 5. Give me those companies in the last 365 days. Grok listed 5 companies in which I'm going to tell you all. And then the next question I asked is, give me your top 5 performing AI companies in the last 30 days. And what I did was I might have done 10 and 10. And then I saw that there were about 5 companies that were listed in question 1 and question number 2. Okay? So that means that I got the companies that are doing the best in the last year, which is a longer term outlook, and then the companies that are doing the best in the last 30 days. And lo and behold, a lot of these companies repeated themselves. In other words, the names appeared on both lists. And those names I isolated to 5 or 6 companies. So they're the best performing companies in AI in the last year and in the last 30 days, right? So I'm catching the short-term growth and the longer-term growth. And the point into DCAing, which is dollar cost averaging, is that you're buying every week or every month on schedule, irrespective of price. You don't care about the price. You're just accumulating shares because you're going to be holding on to this for 5 to 10 years. Now, let's get into SpaceX. Question is SpaceX one of those that need to be DCA'd into? Well, why are we dollar cost averaging? Based on what we saw, and we might go over it this week. Every week I don't need to do the same thing. So some people, if this is new to you, you have to go to the older shows. You'll find them on Red Pill's Patreon. You'll find some of the shows on my Facebook. So here's the deal. We're dollar cost averaging because we're long-term holding. And what do we mean by long-term? This isn't investing now. This is not trading. Trading is more short-term. When you're dollar cost averaging, you're buying stock in and of itself. This is not stock options. That's a whole different game. When you're buying a stock, you want to hold on to that stock for 5 to 10 years because you have a thesis. And this is a new industry, and you're picking the leaders of that industry, and you're going to hold on to that stock for 5 to 10 years. And sometimes you're going to hold on to it for 2, 3, 4, 5 generations. This is what wealthy people do. They gift stock as inheritance to their children. I've told you all about the guy I met about 20 years ago. I met a man on the beach, and I think he had like 8 million shares of Coca-Cola that he inherited from his grandfather, that his grandfather gave to his father gave to him, and is built up to 8 million shares. So grandfather started buying Coca-Cola shares in the 1950s, and he started buying shares with a portion of his salary every 2 weeks. And by the time he retired, he was a wealthy man, and he died, and he gave the shares to his only son. And then his only son had 3 children, continued the same thing, and gave shares. I think he died with like 20 million shares and gave them to his children. And then his children continued the family strategy of buying Coca-Cola shares. And the funny thing was that this guy told me he doesn't even drink Coca-Cola. He doesn't even buy Coca-Cola, but he buys Coca-Cola shares. He told me he was sitting on 8 million shares in 2020. No, not 2020. This was 20 years ago. In 2006, I met this guy on the beach in Miami, right? And he had 8 million shares at the time. And I always tell people, we can do the math. Presently, I'm going to show you all, and then we're going to get into the SpaceX analysis. This is very important. But there's a lot of people who are tuning into this for the first time and just kind of getting a sense of what's going on. So Coca-Cola right now is around $80 per share. I'm going to share the screen with y'all. I'd like to give receipts and what I'm talking about. Let's go here, entire screen, share. Okay, so Coca-Cola is worth, according to this right now, $79.25. Okay? This gentleman had 80 He had 8 million shares in 2020. If he didn't buy any more shares and he's just still sitting on 8 million shares, which I doubt, he might have double by now. Who knows? But in 2006, when I met him, he told me he had 8 million shares of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola right now is $79. So I'm going to multiply this by 79. He's sitting on $632 million as of today. Okay? If he hasn't bought any shares, he's probably doubled the shares by now. He said, because that's just what they do. Because you can actually take dividend payments and just put it right back into shares, right? So he probably has double this. So he's probably sitting on $1 billion today. But let's just say he just stopped buying and he just has his 8 million shares. Well, it's $632 million. This is what dollar cost averaging does for you all, okay? Now, what I want to do is talk about SpaceX now. I told you all SpaceX is a generational stock. Why is SpaceX a generational stock? It's a very important stock because I'm very clear on what Elon Musk is doing. And I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to remove this. So here's the deal, y'all. The reason why SpaceX is so important is because SpaceX was the first company to solve the problem of reusable rockets. Space travel was prohibitively expensive because you could only use a rocket one time. Elon Musk, through first principles thinking, said that there is nothing going to happen with space travel or space industry unless we can take the price of travel down. And you can't take the price of travel down if you can only use a rocket one time. Imagine the commercial airline industry. If you had to fly from New York to Florida, you can only use the plane once. A ticket would cost maybe $10,000. Right? Because you have to pay for that plane that you can only use one time. But because you can use a plane over and over again, the price goes down. Okay. SpaceX solved that problem. They spent all their money and solved it from a first principles approach. Because they solved it, they have a damn near monopoly on space industry. Why is the space industry important? Well, everything is moving to satellites. And so you have governments taking satellites to space and businesses taking satellites to space, whether it be internet businesses, information businesses, what have you. So that's $1 billion industry in and of itself. Basically, SpaceX, their business model is that they are a U-Haul truck to take things to space for people. Okay. The other side of SpaceX is that the internet company, Starlink, is part of it, where you basically don't have an internet service provider that's terrestrial or geolocated. So, like, for instance, you're paying your internet bill, but your internet bill is really just like, in terms of your Wi-Fi, is just for your house, right? You can't move with it. You can move with your data, but then that data plan is geofenced too, right? So you have Starlink, which is not geofenced. Anywhere you are in the world, if you have the Starlink pad with you, with the little satellite thing, the receiver, you can be anywhere in this world and have Starlink access to the internet for about $80 a month. It's very competitive, and you don't have to worry about any outages. You don't have to worry about any, because it's from space. So they've got billions of people, or they get billions of dollars of revenue just with the internet business, which is going to overtake and shut down so many other internet businesses, right? And then they have the AI company, which is Grok. So it's 3 companies in one. They're even talking about maybe merging with Tesla, okay? But the transformative thing, and listen very closely, what they're doing is that Elon Musk, I know a lot of people don't like Elon Musk, but we're not looking at Elon Musk for him to be our friend or to come over our house for dinner, but to look at how he thinks and why he's overperforming compared to all other competitors. In the car industry, he's overperforming. In the chip industry, he's overperforming. In the Neuralink industry, he's overperforming. He's running circles around his competition. And why? Because he's using what you call first principles thinking. So what's first principles thinking is just looking at a problem set and finding out what are the immutable truths and what are the limiting factors. Well, the greatest limiting factor what's the immutable truth of AI? Well, the immutable truth is that it expands in terms of knowledge every single day or every single minute, because it's getting all the information and building up on more and more information. So it is ever expanding. So when something is ever expanding, what is the limitation? The limitation is whatever restricts it from expanding, which is memory. And the memory has to be fueled by energy. So the greatest limiting factors in AI is memory and energy. He decided that he's going to start looking at making chips because Tesla makes his own chips for his full self-driving, which is an AI. So basically a Tesla car is literally AI on wheels. The fact that it can drive you anywhere. I mean, like literally you could put in an address, it'll drive you to that address. I'm talking about people have done cross-country US road trips from New York to California with full self-driving, where they didn't intervene at all and the car drove them from their New York address to their California address. This is where it's at right now. Okay. So Tesla is involved in AI. SpaceX is involved in AI. Now here's the deal. This is what Elon Musk recognized. He recognized that you have compute space and you have energy as the limiting factors. If you solve these things, you'll control the AI industry. Just like if you solve the reusable rocket problem, you'll control the space industry. He recognized this just like he understood if you solve the battery problem, you'll control the EV market. Okay, so check this out. And you all, and anyone who's interested in entrepreneurship, you really should look into what Elon Musk has to say about entrepreneurship and science and the way he approaches things. You don't have to listen to what he has to say about politics or social anything. None of these entrepreneurs like us anyway. But the point is that you can learn from anything that you can learn from. That's the point. That's when maturity is that you can hold your nose and still learn from somebody you don't like. Okay.
Right. Before you go further, Brother Heru, I hate to interrupt. Let's go back to the phones, man. I think this caller has been patiently waiting. 510, you're on with Brother Heru and Red Pill. All right. We can't hear you, 510. Unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We hear you.
Hey, what's good with the brother?
Everything's good over here, my brother.
Okay, y'all can hear me fine?
Yeah, we hear you good.
Okay, my name is Rob. I'm a part of the Imaginarium, me and my wife Mahal, and I came up with this thing called Market Pulse because I was having some success back in the day trading Tesla. I used to work there for 6 years, so I was having some success doing the options trading, but I was making some mistakes along the way. And I dropped some YouTube videos about it, but this thing is called Market Pulse. So I want to read you what Claude gave me as the description. It's live right now too, but it's called Market Pulse. And Market Pulse is a trading intelligence tool for the serious retail investor, the Robinhood and FinTech crowd that's outgrown hype and wants to actually understand their setups. Here's the problem. Every trading product out there sells a fantasy, follow our signals, get rich. They hide their losers. We do the opposite. Market Pulse runs a transparent technical engine, RSI, MACD, trend confirmation across time frames, and every signal we generate is backed by a proof mode, a back test that replays the exact live logic over 2 years of real market data and shows you every win and every loss, net of fees and slippage. We even built walk forward testing to prove the edge holds out of samples. Our honesty is the most. We published a 5-part video series breakdown real trades, including ones where our own tool lost just by holding stock. That's what you were talking about, the dollar standing still. That builds the one thing that this place has none of, trust. It's live today. Pure Python, no install friction, selling on Gumroad, open on GitHub. The latter goes from a free tier screener to a pro tier to an autopilot layer, a paper-first trading agent on Alpaca that proposes trades and waits for your approval with hard spin caps and circuit breakers baked in. We're not selling a money printer. We're selling the truth. And in this market, the truth is the product nobody else will ship. That's what the Claude breakdown gave me after running field tests on this thing all day
and all night, over and over and over. I think I need help with where to go with this, and your knowledge base go crazy, so it would be a blessing to get y'all in on this. Y'all can take it from me. I just want to figure out how to do this and profit and feed the family. You feel me?
Yeah, well, at HerootTrades.com, we do options all the time. And so, people can choose to follow my options trades, and we can talk about options. We've talked about options in the previous shows. You'd have to kind of look up those shows, but, I can cover some options plays today. And then you can just go to HerootTrades.com. You can email me that platform you're talking about. I can look at it. But, we do have subscription model for people to follow options that I do. You can sign up for weekly, monthly, or yearly at Heroot Trades. And basically, whenever I make a trade, you get an email automatically about my trade, and you can just copy and mimic the trade and make the same money I make. So that's what we do at HerootTrades.com. But yeah, you can just email that platform to us at info@HerootTrades.com, and we can look it over. Okay.
Yes, sir. Info@HerootTrades.com.
Yep. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to get back to the SpaceX conversation because I know that's what a lot of people. So we were on the limiting factors for AI, which is memory, compute space, and electricity power. So what they figured out is that in terms of the existing electricity grids that we already have, the amount of electricity that AI needs, we just don't have enough. We don't generate enough. And so there has to be new generation capacities. And they're looking at nuclear. They would love to do solar, but solar has a limitation. You can't get electricity at night with solar. So you need batteries. So then it becomes more expensive, right? So Elon Musk mapped this whole thing out because remember, he has an energy company. Remember that Tesla also does solar installs. As a matter of fact, many homes have Tesla solar roofs. And so he's been, in the solar industry for a long time. Tesla purchased Solar City some years ago. And so he's very, very in tune with solar energy. He manufactures solar panels to the point where he innovated solar roofs, which are just built-in solar panels that you use as roof tiles. Okay. So this is not somebody who's just speculating on solar and energy and all of that. So he realized that you're going to need data centers all over the place, and you're going to need electricity. Data centers are not going to be able to get electricity, and they're going to have to be paying electricity at a premium because the capacity is just not there in terms of these data centers that are ever expanding because the AI is teaching itself and learning more and more and more and more. The brain is getting bigger and bigger. The collective beehive mind is getting bigger and bigger, and you need the commensurate memory and electricity. And so what he realized is he has a space company. And he realized that all of these satellites are powered by the sun. If you look at pictures of satellites, they all have solar panels on all sides of the satellite. And he realized you can actually put data centers in space. Here's why solar works in space better than on Earth, because in space, there's no atmosphere and there's no blockage of the sun. So you can have the satellites pointed directly at the sun 24 hours a day. There is no darkness. There is no 12-hour, nighttime in space. And so you get continuous sun, and you don't need batteries anymore in space. So he did the math and he figured out all of these data centers could just be in space. So what he's doing now, because he owns a space company, is he's looking at putting data centers in space and having them powered by solar panels. This is the cheapest way to power the data centers. And so now what he's going to be doing is he's going to be doing data centers as a service. So all these companies that are doing data centers on land, they're going to be paying almost 10 times more for electricity. So what are they going to do? They're going to lease out data center space in space from SpaceX. This is what's going to happen because electricity is going to be cheaper in space. So he's going to have a monopoly on almost all the data centers, even if those data centers are being used by his competitor AIs like Gemini and ChatGPT All of these places are going to have to lease data centers from him because he's going to be able to deliver electricity at a much cheaper rate than anyone can on Earth. That's a monopoly, y'all. This is going to happen 5 to 10 years from now, but I'm just telling you all where this is going. Data centers are going to go to space because electricity is going to be cheaper. They're just going to run them in space. And there is no limitation in space in terms of real estate. Okay? So this is going to be like a very, very serious thing. Someone says, how are they going to cool them? They're going to cool them in space. Space is pretty cold. And not only is space pretty cold, they'll just cool them the way they cool them. You know, you'll have your fans and you'll have as long as you have electricity, you can cool. Okay? So they're going to be getting electricity from the sun through the solar panels 24 hours a day without any break in direct sunlight. And so this is where SpaceX is going. But I had to ask myself a question. When we're investing, and this is where I think the brother wanted to get to. Thank you for your patience. The brother's Ja something. I forget his name, but the brother's like, let's get to SpaceX. I think Ja Ensley. All right, Ja Ensley, here's your part. Okay? The reason why we dollar cost average is because we're looking for at least 10x exposure. 10x exposure means that whatever we're putting our money into, we would like to see the stock grow at least by 10 times. So if it's $100 a share today, we'd like it to be at least $1,000 a share in the next 5 to 10 years. That's the only question you're asking when you're dollar cost averaging. Does this particular company have the opportunity to 10x within the next 10 years? That is the question that we're asking. Okay, so here's my analysis, and I need everyone to pay attention to this. Okay? We now go to Grok. And we're going to ask a few questions. The only question I want to know if I'm dollar cost averaging into SpaceX is, will SpaceX reliably and predictably 10x within the next 5 to 10 years? Okay? All right. Check this out. So the question I ask is, what is SpaceX capitalized at as of today? Does everyone see this? Can you see this? My first question, what is the present valuation of SpaceX stocks? Grok tells me as of June 14th, SpaceX capitalization is approximately $2.1 trillion. So SpaceX is valued at $2.1 trillion in terms of its capitalization, which means that that's the economy of SpaceX. Okay? SpaceX is in terms of the shares. Okay, you just do the share price times the outstanding shares and you're going to get your valuation, and is at $2.1 trillion. Okay? All right. The next question is, if I needed to 10x, that means that the market cap needs to be what? $20 trillion. Need y'all to listen carefully to what I'm saying. If SpaceX is capitalized at $2.1 trillion now through the stock market, for us to get a 10x, it needs to be capitalized at $20 trillion. That means that the stock price has to 10x, which means that the value of the capitalization needs to 10x, which is $21 trillion. So then I ask myself a question. 10 years, 5 years, $21 trillion. What does that look like? So I asked, what is the US GDP in 2025? The US GDP is $30 trillion as of 2025. And then it talks about the growth of GDP, because this is what you need to find out. Then I asked, what is the global GDP? I need you all to remember these numbers. We're talking 2 trillion for SpaceX, 30 trillion for the US economy, and 118 trillion for the world economy. So as of mid-2026, the global GDP on Earth for the whole planet Earth is $118 trillion. Remember, SpaceX is valued at $2 trillion. Okay. What's my next question? My next question is, what is the projected, based on historical rate of GDP growth, what is the projected GDP of the United States in 2031? That is 5 years from now, y'all. Because you always have to think ahead when you're doing stocks and investing. You're looking at 5 to 10 year horizons, at least. So based on historical trends, the GDP is projected to be 37.8 to $41 trillion. Let's just go with $41 trillion. The GDP today, or as of 2025, is 30 trillion. So they're looking for GDP to rise another 10 trillion by the next 5 years. Okay? 30 trillion will be the projected GDP in 6 years. We're asking if SpaceX can 10x in the next, which is basically 1,000% in the next 5 years. Well, remember, 10x means that it has 20 trillion. That means that in 5 years, by 2031, we're looking for SpaceX to reach 20 trillion, but the US economy would only be 30 trillion. Do you see the problem with that? What is 2/3? 2/3, in other words, 20 trillion divided by 30 trillion will give you 67%. The question is it feasible and is it realistic that SpaceX would be 67% of the US economy in 5 years? The answer is no. The answer is no. I don't expect, as well as I expect SpaceX to do, I do not expect SpaceX to be damn near 70% of the US GDP. That's not realistic. Either the GDP is going to have to grow exponentially more. That's the only way, because I don't expect SpaceX, the economy of SpaceX, to be close to 70% of the US economy. That is what it would have to be for SpaceX to 10x. So my only question as an investor is, what are my best 10x opportunities? So you look at other companies that are valued a little bit lower. See, it's harder for a company that's at 2 trillion to grow to 4 trillion, because you're looking at another $2 trillion. Like, this is not billion, this is trillion. A trillion is 1,000 billion. So you're looking into 1,000 billion twice for it to double. That's a lot. That's a lot, y'all. I mean, I know where AI is going, and I know that they're going to have monopoly on certain things, but does it make sense that SpaceX would be 2/3 of the US economy? It doesn't make sense. So what does that mean for me? That means that in my analysis of SpaceX, yes, you're going to get growth, but you're not going to get 10x. You may get 2x by the next 5 years. You may get 2x, where it goes from 2 trillion to 4 trillion. Remember, 2 to 4 trillion is double, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. The question is, are there other opportunities that have a greater chance of 10xing than SpaceX? And the answer is yes. SpaceX, for it to 10x, the whole US economy, by and large, would have to be based on the space industry to some degree. We're talking about 70%. Okay? So let's look at what has already 10x'd and why I'm looking. Okay? So we're going to go over the ones, the picks that I have that I'm dollar cost averaging into, and then I'll let you all know how I'm doing. And remember, I've been dollar cost averaging, I did it for about 10 years with Bitcoin from 2011 to 2021. I dollar cost averaged Bitcoin for 10 years. Almost every week I put money into Bitcoin. From 2015 to about 2023, I dollar cost averaged Tesla. Okay. And so suffice it to say, I've done very well. Right. And this is why I'm economically free. So I'm talking from experience. And I used to post this on Facebook all the time. You all need to get Bitcoin. You all need to get Tesla. Because I understood where the world was going. Right. I understand where the world is going also in terms of AI, and AI is going to be more explosive than Bitcoin and Tesla. Okay. As companies or as properties. So I began dollar cost averaging again, as you all know, in real time, maybe 3-4 weeks ago. And so I asked the questions about what companies in AI are performing the most, right? The best. And so here's the companies. I'm about to give you all the list of companies. And I'm going to show you all, I'm going to give you all transparency, how they've been doing. Okay, so we're going to go one by one. You all can take notes, because a lot of times I end up repeating myself and people are asking the same questions, but we're going to get into this. Okay. The first company that was number one in terms of weekly and monthly, remember I asked 2 questions, and we're going to juxtapose this to SpaceX. Very important. We're looking for, if you want to 10x SpaceX, it's got to go from 2 trillion to 20 trillion in a $30 trillion US economy by 2025. All right. All right. So the first company that was number one, according to AI, for the last year and the last month was SanDisk. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to share what's been going on with SanDisk. And this DCAing is what you call getting rich slowly. What I'm talking about slowly is 5 to 10 years. Okay. So SanDisk, everyone sees this. SanDisk is number one. SanDisk in the last day is down 0.06%. In the last week, let me make sure everyone can see this. Can everyone see this? Yes, everyone can see this. Make your screen big if you need to. SanDisk in the last week grew 22%, y'all. So I've made 22% on my money in just 1 week. Okay? In 1 month, SanDisk, I started a month ago, and you all are getting this in real time. And so every week, I put $100 into SanDisk. Every week. I just do $100 into SanDisk because I'm dollar cost averaging a bunch of different companies. So SanDisk, I put $100 into every week. I don't care what the price is, because SanDisk qualified as the number one company for the month and the year in terms of the AI space. They do memory. Okay. 3 months, SanDisk grew 178%, which is about 3x. That's 2.7x. Year to date, which is since January, it's grown 700%. Okay? That is an 8x. Remember, we're looking for 10x? SanDisk did it 8x from January 2026 to where we are in June 2026. Damn near 10x already in 6 months. Remember, I'm looking for 10x in 5 years. But they're giving you almost a 10x. If you got on this a year ago or in January, you'd be 8x your money. So if you put $10,000 in, you'd have $80,000 right now. 1 year, SanDisk has gone 4,300%. That is a 44x. So your $10,000 in 1 year of putting your money into SanDisk, your $10,000 would now be $440,000. Y'all see that? This is just dollar cost averaging, y'all. Or if you want to front load it because you knew something about SanDisk, you put it in, but it's just taking off now. Okay? You would have gotten 44x times your money with SanDisk. Okay? With no headache. You're just putting your money in and it's just growing. Okay? And of course, you find out. So in 1 month, I've already made 47% on my money since I started dollar cost averaging, and I'm going to be doing this for the next 5 to 10 years. And this is the attitude that you need to have, because what we are is essentially we've caught the plane on the runway as it's taking off. The AI plane ain't even in the sky yet. It's still on the runway, y'all. It is speeding up before it even takes off. And before the takeoff, SanDisk is giving you 44x. That's the 10x we're looking for already. Okay? The thing is that you go with the winners, y'all. You go with the winners. So all I'm doing is, I know that AI is the new automobile to horse and buggies right now. And so I'm picking the top companies in AI, just like if you know that home delivery is the new thing, you're going to pick the top companies. And so that would be Amazon in 2000. And if you picked Amazon in 2000, let's just look at it. Amazon, right? If you picked Amazon in 2000, here we go. Look at Amazon. This is the all-time Amazon chart. Amazon went public in 2000, January 31st. They opened it. They came in at $3, and then it went down. And they actually had warnings when they went under $1. But I think they changed the rules recently. They were under, so you could even get Amazon for under 29 cents. I know that they kick you out when it's under $1 now. So probably in 2005 they didn't have those rules, 2002. But check this out. Amazon in all time has gone up 80x. So you made 80x on your money. So if you dollar cost averaged and you put in that same 10,000 off of 50,000, you took 20%, you did 10,000 a year, and you did that for the first, let's just say you did it for the first 10 years. Let's just say the first 10 years of Amazon to 2010. The price fluctuated from $3. Actually, it went low. Let's go to the absolute low because we're going to get the median price. So this is the absolute low, is around, we want to get the median price. That's, so 34 cents. Let's just go with 35 cents as the median price. And 2010, we got up to, let's go to the beginning of 2010. So we went the beginning of 2000 to 2010. Okay, January 2010, $6. So we're gonna do, let's just do some math again, y'all. I want to show you all this. Let's do the calculator again. We're gonna do the calculator. We're gonna remove that, and let's do the calculator. I want to show you all how much money you'd have had buying Amazon stock for 10 years after they did their IPO. Okay? Because let's say you just knew that retail was going to change, which was actually kind of predictable, right? If we go by the concept of we choose what is cheaper, easier, more convenient, and more efficient, and that is going to be the prevailing technology of the day. Okay? All right. So we went from 35 cents to, I believe it was $6. Let me confirm that. Yeah, 2010, we got to $6. Yeah. So let's just go $6. Okay. 35 plus. Now this is not exact, but it's going to give you the median plus $6. So 635. The median will be half of that. So divided by 2. Or the mean would be half of that. Okay. So your average cost, let's say, is $3. And let's just say that you put $10,000 a year, which is $800 a month, which is 20% of your income. Okay? You put 20% of your income if you were making $50,000 a year. So that comes out to $10,000 a year. Let's just say roughly $10,000 a year, okay? If you did that for 10 years, that's $100,000. Okay? So let's just say that you put in $100,000 and your price per share was $3 per share. Okay? So now we're going to find out how many shares you have. 100,000 shares divided by the cost of what was it, 375? Was it $3.75? Can someone remind me? Let me go back to the chat and see. Was it 375? Can someone remind me? Was that number $3.75? I don't want to have to do it over. Just tell me, was it 375? Was it $3.75? Anybody in the chat? I know it was $6. Here, I'll do it. It was $6.35. Okay, we're gonna do $6.35 divided by 2. Okay, it was actually $3.17. Okay, so what we're gonna do is go back $3.17. Okay, so you have 31,000 shares of Amazon. And what is the price of Amazon right now? The price of Amazon is $241. So you're going to multiply that by 31,000 times 241. You're sitting on $7.6 million for that 10-year dollar cost averaging of 20% of your income if you're making $50,000 a year. So $800 a month, you disciplined yourself and said, I'm not going to waste this money on XYZ. I'm going to dollar cost average into a technology space that is going to change the world, because I know that retail is going to be moving to something more convenient where you don't have to go to the store comes to you. That's what Amazon did. That's the problem they solved. The store comes to you. They started out with books, and then they realized they weren't in the book business. They were in bringing the store to you business. And if you realize that, just like you'd have realized that with Netflix taking over Blockbuster, you would have capitalized on that and you'd be sitting on $7.6 million. And that's with you stopping this in 2010 and just holding on to the shares. So you see why the wealthy get wealthy? Because they're transferring their dollars for stock. That's what buying stock is. You're transferring your dollars for another medium that grows faster than dollars. Okay? This is very important to understand these concepts. Now, this is why we're dollar cost averaging into AI. Let's look at the other stocks in AI that are important to look at, that I'm dollar cost averaging in. So we already saw SanDisk and how crazy that looks, and what of a good month I had with SanDisk. And to tell you all the truth, I'm happy that I had a great month, but to be completely honest with you, I would like SanDisk price to go down more, because if it goes down more, I'm going to get it for a better price. And that means I'm going to get more shares. Okay, so keep in mind, SanDisk gave us over 1 month 46% on our money. The next company would be Micron, MU. Okay, Micron is up today. 1.6%, which is more than you'd make in a year, which is actually not even more. It is 100 times more than what you would make in a year keeping your money in Bank of America. Bank of America gives you 0.01. In one day, Micron gave you 1.5, which is literally over 100x in one day, more than keeping it in a year with the bank. Okay? In 1 week, Micron has grown 14%. In 1 month, Micron has grown 43%. So I've made 43% on my money in the last month since I started dollar cost averaging. And like I said, I just do $100 a week. Okay? That comes out because I'm doing 6 or 7 companies. I'm doing, instead of 800 a month, I'm doing like 800 a week. Okay? But it's just based on what you can afford. So that's Micron. We see how well Micron is doing. In 1 year, Micron grew 766%. Damn near 10x. That's the 10x we're looking for. Okay? All right. The next company is Western Digital. Western Digital is a storage company, data storage in terms of memory. Today, it's up 5.6%. So that's doing very well today. Last week, in the past week, I've made 42% on my money. This is the easiest money you're going to make, y'all, because this is in my sleep and I have it set. See this where it says buy order type? I have it set to what you call recurring investment. So it just takes money from my account automatically. So you see how like Netflix takes money from your account automatically every month so you can watch movies? I have Robinhood set to take money from my account also, but it's not for a liability like Netflix subscription, which is a liability. This is actually for investment to have my money grow. Your money's not growing when you're paying for Netflix subscriptions, $30 a month. You'd be better off cutting that out in dollar cost averaging into something worth that $30 a month. You'll be better off. So you want to look at your spending and see how much money you're actually throwing away that you could be dollar cost averaging instead, right? That vacation you want to take, that's going to cost you thousands of dollars. Well, it might be better for you to put that thousands of dollars, sit your ass at home and put that thousands of dollars into some of these companies and just sit on it for the next 5 years. You'll be much happier in 5 years when you look at your account and you're sitting on 6, 7 figures, as opposed to the fact that you went on vacation and went and ate in some fancy restaurant and sat on a beach and took selfies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, decide what you want to do with your money. But I know what I'm doing. So in 1 year, Western Digital did 1,100%. That's that 10x we're looking for. This is the number I'm looking for 5 years. Worst case scenario, 10 years. But I need to 10x. It has to be 1,000% for me to be happy. And with Western Digital, I would have reached that in 1 year. But like they say, the best time to plant a fruit tree is 20 years ago. And the second best time is today. So if you didn't get on this yet, remember the plane has not taken off yet. You can still get on it. So Western Digital is what I'm in. So I'm dollar cost averaging into Western Digital. Every week, money goes into Western Digital. The next company is Seagate, STX. You start seeing similar numbers. Okay? These numbers start becoming very familiar. 1 day, 3%. 1 week, 27%. 1 month, 42%. 3 months, 167%. 1 year, 719%. So you're seeing 8x to 11x to 40x. That's what you're seeing. SanDisk was 40x. Everything else has been Western Digital was 11x. Seagate and Micron, which is MU, were about 8x for the past year. Okay. And then I'm also into Hut 8. Hut 8 price has been a little stagnant for the last week, which I like because I'm picking up more shares. 1 week, 10%. So even though it's grown, it's not grown as fast as the others, which is fine with me. 10%, which is much more than the bank is going to give you for a year, right? 1 month, 26%. 3 months, 141%. Year to date, which is 6 months, 156%. The whole year, you're looking at 581%, which is a 6.8x. Okay, that's what you made on your money with Hut 8. Okay, and then I'm into, so I just given you, I think I gave you 6. I'm going to show you the wild card that I chose, which is called Marvell Technologies. And so this is because the CEO of, so I have my X account curated where I get a lot of information very quickly. And the CEO of NVIDIA, which is the #1 company in the world, I'm not sure if NVIDIA is more valuable than SpaceX right now. I'd have to look at the market cap. But before SpaceX, at least, the #1 capitalized company. And the owner, I mean, the CEO and the founder, Henson Yang, talked about this company called Marvell, saying that this is the next $1 trillion company. So I looked into it, and Marvell's in the AI space. And so what happened? I looked at Marvell Technology, and I started dollar cost averaging into them from this inside information of Henson Yang. It's just what you decide to follow. You can have your social media feeds come up with like news about celebrities, or you can get news about like companies and technology. I get news about companies and technology, so I'm usually ahead of the curve. So what happens is that I've been in this for a month, and in a week, I've made 11%. In the last month, I made 68% on my money. In 1 month, y'all. Okay, it is going to get uglier and uglier because this thing is only growing. And people ask me, like, what about the bubble? Like, what about it crashing? I can't wait for it to crash because I'm going to get these stocks at a cheaper price. If it goes up, I'm happy. If it goes down, I'm happy. And that is where you want to be in your investing. If you understand your thesis, you're happy when the price goes up, and you're happy when the price goes down. When the price goes up, you've made more money. When the price goes down, you've got the opportunity to make more money. Because you know that this is like investing in Google in 1995. This isn't like investing in Amazon in 2000. This is like investing in Netflix in 2002. This is like investing in Tesla in 2008. Like, you're getting in early on things that are about to change the world, and you're picking the leaders. And if I start seeing other companies that show themselves as the leaders in the next year, I just run my analysis and I will transfer my money over into those companies. Whoever the leaders are in the AI space, that is who I'm investing in. Period. Dollar cost averaging, and I'm doing it in my sleep. It takes the money from my account without me thinking about it, so I don't even have to think about it. And so what I'm saying is, anybody who does this, if you did it for, you can just do the homework, do your due diligence, go on Robinhood and just look at the top companies of today in the disruptive spaces of whatever technologies that we know of, whether it would be the Amazon, Google, you know, the big companies that you know of, Facebook, all of that, and go look at their growth from their IPO till now. And if you'd a dollar cost averaged in the last 5 years, or the first 5 years of those companies, or even in the last 5 years, you'd make a lot of money. You'd be making a lot of money. You'd be making more money than you're making at work. You'd be making more money than in putting it in the bank. If you put that money into real estate, maybe your real estate property doubles in 10 years. So would you want a 2x in 10 years, or do you want a 10x in 10 years? Okay. So I can't wait for a huge pullback. I can't wait for the so-called bubble to crash, because the internet bubble crashed and we still got Google on top. We still got Amazon on top. We still got AMD on top, NVIDIA, all these. We don't like, I welcome a crash, y'all. I can't wait for there to be a crash, because I'm going to buy these stocks even more aggressively when there's a crash, because it's about accumulation of shares of the top companies in the space that you are looking at to be the disruptive space. And this is what you've got to do. And so this is just what it is, man. This is what I'm doing. I mean, we can get into some of these. I don't know if people got questions. And remember, like, if you understand like what's going on, you can get into options and all of that. And so there are some options I have in place. We can look at some of them and see how they're doing. Some of you all remember, so oil has gone down. Whatever's going on with Iran and United States, the price of oil has gone down. So my oil options right now are kind of in the middle, right? But they don't expire until like next year. So I've got time for Trump to make more mistakes and for hostilities to increase, which I expect to happen. I don't want it to happen, but my oil options are a hedge against the price of oil going up. So if the price of oil goes up and the price of everything starts going up, at least I have a position in oil where I can benefit from that, right? And my options don't expire for a year. So what I'm going to do is, there are some options that I have in place that we can go over and see how those are doing. At the beginning of this program, when we started in April or March, when the war started breaking out, I told you all about sulfuric acid in a company called Ecovist. Brother Anthony, I think you remember about Ecovist. You on, Anthony, still? Oh no, Anthony's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay. So Ecovist was a pick that I told you all about, because sulfuric acid is what's needed to process metals, industrial metals. And a lot of it comes from the Straits of Hormuz. And if it's closed and things aren't moving, you're going to have a shortage of sulfuric acid, which means the price is going to go up. And there's a company in the United States that makes sulfuric acid without the use of Straits of Hormuz sulfuric acid, which is a byproduct of oil refinery or oil refinement. And so I'm going to share with you all right now my Ecovist option and what that looks like. Can you all see the screen? Are you able to see the Ecovist chart?
Not yet.
Okay. So let's do it real quick. Give people some transparency on some of these picks. So Ecovist, I told you all about it months ago. And let's just go to Ecovist itself and see how it's been doing. The underlying chart. Let's just see Ecovist. Is that the option? No, that's not the option. I believe that's just the chart. Okay. So Ecovist in the last week has been up 0.77%. Last month, actually down. 3 months, we got in about 3 months ago, it's up 10% in the last 3 months, okay? In the last year, it's up 65%. So that looks good, right? So we got in about 3 months ago once the war started breaking out. And so my options right now, let's see, we've got this one here. So this option, okay, you see this option here? Can you all see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you'll notice that on this option, I'm up 31%. Okay, so I put some money into it. I put about, how much did I put into this option? I got 6 contracts, the average. So I put about $700 in. So I'm up 30%. And so the value right now is 948. I could cash out today and make a $250 profit just on knowing that sulfur did what it did. Okay. So I'm up on that right now. I did an option on the NASDAQ. And those people who follow me will know that one of the picks that I did about 2 weeks ago in option was NASDAQ. Okay. So NASDAQ is down today at 2%, but the last week it's down 0.1. The last month is down 6. It's up in the past 3 months, but it's up slightly. We're expecting NASDAQ to go up. That's why we have an option on it. Okay. So if I look at my options right now in NASDAQ from when I got in, if you followed me and you got an option contract when I told you about it, do you see what today's return is, Phil?
Crazy. 14,000%. Boy, son.
You see that?
Man, I'm gonna come move in with you for about a month. we just gonna chill and get rich together.
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
So those people who follow me on HeruTrades.com, you're also got that same percentage because I tell you what my trade is. I tell you where I got in and everything, and I tell you that I usually cash out when I have 300% in profit or more, which is a 4x in profit. Right now, total return is 36%. But today we got a rise of 14,900% today. So today I made $745. It says right here. That's just for today. Okay, because we were down some, but it's recovered very nicely. And it's gone up to 15,000 now. It's at 16,000 now. You see it? You see this, Phil, as we're speaking?
16,900. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn near 17,000.
Yeah. Okay. And so this is how people make money in their sleep while they're doing other things once they understand what's going on. Okay. I got in on this particular option. I'll click it, show you all more on this option. So I got in March 19th, y'all. No, I actually got in. When did I buy this? It should say when I bought it. Yeah. So I bought it May 27th, which is what? 3 weeks ago. In 3 weeks, this is what has happened. Look at this. It's at 17,000% now.
Wow.
So in just one day, I'm probably going to clear $1,000 in one day on this because we're already at $820. Do you see that?
Beautiful. Yeah.
So I got in. My average cost was $1.10. I bought 5 contracts. So really I spent $550 on this contract. And right now I'm at 825. So I'm going to be close to doubling my money. Right now I'm at 50% profit for the total, 16,000 for the day. And I expect this to just keep going up. Okay. Those of you who are also following me on, those of you all who are also following me would have seen my American Express play. So I have an option on American Express. I'll show you all that one. And the people who are my subscribers, you'd have already gotten this weeks ago and you'd have seen it. And sometimes it'll take some time for the options to pop, but we start seeing profit. Would you see this red pill?
Yes,
It's
sir.
American Express. It's up
Amex.
1% today. So I have an option on American Express. And look at the option. It's up 44%. Do you see that? Total return.
Yep.
Okay. So I've made a quick $500 on that. And I'm looking to make 400% on this. So I'm looking to make 5,000 on this. Okay. And then cash out. So there's a bunch of other companies that we're looking at, but you get your updates once you actually get into HeruTrades.com and you sign up for membership. You literally get all of the plays that I have. Am I looking at anything this week? I don't really see anything this week that I like. There may be something that I might see tonight or tomorrow, and then of course the subscribers will get the information if I make a trade. Right now, I'm comfortable where we're at. I'm comfortable with the. I'm going to show you all a ETF. So this is a AI ETF, which is just a combination of different companies that this company venture capital fund will invest in, and those companies will be some of the top companies in the AI space and the compute space. And so they tell you the companies that they're in. So NVIDIA, Taiwan Semiconductor, Micron, which is MU, which I'm in. So basically what I've done is I built my own ETF in a sense, and they have their own ETF. So if you don't want to even think about anything, you can just invest in the ETF and they will move in and out the companies that they think are right in that space. And you just invest in that. And you could just dollar cost average into an AI ETF. SMH is one of them. Let's just see how they've done in the last year. You'd have more than doubled your money. Your growth isn't going to be as great as, picking out companies one by one. But if you just want to have exposure to the AI space, SMH is a company that you might want to look at. It's just a semiconductor ETF, which is just a combination of companies that are in the compute space for AI. And they will do the trading for you in terms of picking the companies. And you just invest in them and they'll take care of the rest for you. And if you did that, you'd have made 141% on your money for the year. Okay. And so this is what we want to do. We did dollar cost averaging. We did the options and showed you how some of these things are doing. I'm not going to get exhaustive into it. The oil options are down. The price of oil is down, but we are using those as security against whatever may happen in terms of the rise of anything. Like if oil goes up, it affects everything, the price of food, the price of everything. And so the way that you benefit off that is to have a position in oil so that the money that you get will not only offset your cost of day-to-day living, but you actually can come up in a very serious way. And that's using kinetic knowledge. And so I have no confidence in the United States government to achieve peace because the United States has been at war every year except for 13 years in its 250-year history. So I expect America to continue with this tradition of warmongering. And because of that, I expect tensions to rise and the price of oil to go up. And if it goes down, that's fine. The price of everything is cheaper. But if the price goes up, I've protected myself by having a position in oil. And my options don't expire until March and June of next year. So we got time. I got time to wait. So when the price of oil goes up and everyone's panicking and everyone's upset, I'm laughing all the way to the bank. Okay. Someone says, my voice is going in and out. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me okay? Or
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
all right, listener, it might have been your computer, listener.
That might have been
Power
earlier.
sound. Yeah, it might be your computer. I don't know. And someone says, and it doesn't expire until next year. You got plenty of time. That's crazy. Yep. That's the point. And that's why I do long-term options, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. You never know, what these people are going to do in terms of what they do politically, but we know what the trend is. And I know that the 250-year trend of America is that America likes war. And America has engaged itself in a war led by Israel. And the price of oil should be going up, in the long haul. But if it doesn't, that's fine. I lose on my bet. But what that also means is I actually win in a sense because the price of everything went down. So even the money that I was going to lose through the price of food going up, I've saved it by the price of food going down, even though I lost money on my option. But my option has an opportunity. Let's just say I put $1,000 in oil options. It has an opportunity to 10x. I can make 10 grand off of it. But if I lose $1,000. If I win 10,000 or more. Okay. With the only caveat is going on the credit history of the United States. And the credit history of the United States is it likes to warmong. It's a warmonger culture, leadership. They want to be the bullies of the world. They've been doing this for long. They've been doing that to Iran for so many years, overthrew Iran's duly elected president of Mossadegh, tried to put in the Shah, all of that. Like it's crazy. And, you know, Iran is being attacked. And so they control the Straits of Hormuz, and there's a bottleneck in oil traffic. But turns out that Iran's actually making money now because they're literally using it as a toll booth. Before, there was free passage in the Straits of Hormuz. Now you got to pay Iran $2 million to get out of there. And they're paying, and Iran is making billions of dollars from this. And I'm sure Iran's like, why didn't we ever do this with the Straits of Hormuz before? Thank you, America. So Iran's actually making more money. But we expect the price of things to get more expensive because this is another added cost. And then hostilities cause, you know, fear, which would cause the price to spike. But we'll see what happens with oil. I've got till June of next year to my options expire. So I plan to make at least double the money on that, at least. So let's see if we got any questions. I'm gonna try to run through the questions, y'all. I'll put comments on stage. Let me just run through the questions so anyone got any questions. I think it's been another good show. We've been on for 2 hours. I think people have gotten value. You definitely know what I'm dollar cost averaging into. You know some of the options I'm in. How do you invest in the Urban Vitamin Company? Oh, the Herbal Results. So we've already had our first stage of investment, and that's been closed. We're going to move to stage 2. That will be opened sometime this summer for stage 2. The people who invested in stage 1, 99%, decided to roll over their investment into stage 2, and we can take new investors in stage 2. I have to travel. I'll be traveling to secure space for factories so that we can actually make our products ourselves instead of contracting other manufacturers to make our products. We're going to have our own factory, and so that's where the investment will be. And I'm choosing the right place to do that in the world. And it's looking like we may be having a factory in Ghana or in East Africa, in Kenya or Rwanda. So we're going to look at it. But the investors and the potential investors, we will announce when that investor meeting, it's a Zoom meeting that we'll have. And if you're interested, you know, just email us at info@herbalresults so we have you on the list as a prospective investor, and then you can attend the investor meeting, okay? Someone asked, what about Ecovist? I believe I answered that earlier. Someone says, how often do you yield profit to extract per year, and what amounts per year do you make draws on? Okay, so M. Cole, great question. Options are different than stocks. I think you're asking about stocks. So I do not take money out of my stocks. I do not sell them. One of the first rules of investing and growing wealth is understanding that you never sell an appreciating asset unless you have a better appreciating asset to move it into. So for instance, if your family, and this is the best way to do it, if your family in the 1820s purchased and owned 100 acres of downtown Manhattan between 1820 and 2026, 206 years, let's say. Should your family have ever sold any of that land in downtown Manhattan?
Not 1 inch.
Not 1 inch. Why? Because that is your wealth base, and it's going to appreciate. It's an appreciating asset. And with appreciating assets, you can always borrow against the assets and never have to sell the asset. And that's how you build generational wealth, is that you pass down assets from generation to generation. I actually, it's funny, the people I meet, man. I don't know if I look like an interesting person or not, but I'll be sitting on an airplane and people just start talking to me, man. And I literally met somebody whose family purchased land in Manhattan 100 years ago. And that's the base of their wealth. They never sold it and they just borrow against it. That property, those properties are worth billions of dollars now. So we don't sell appreciating assets. We only sell depreciating assets and move the dollars into other appreciating assets, but we do not keep our money in dollars. We try not to keep our money in dollars. The reason is because it's a depreciating asset. Dollars are depreciating assets. So only time we sell is if we have something better to move it into. Okay, so like, let's just say that I've already gotten my 10x off of Amazon. I don't see Amazon 10xing anymore into the future, right? So what am I going to do? I could sell my Amazon. I'll take a tax hit, but it'll be a long-term capital gains, which is much cheaper than short-term. So if you hold a stock for more than a year, you get a capital gains tax decrease where you pay maybe 15%. But if it's less than a year, you're paying close to 40% on taxes. So that's why people like to long-term hold. So the answer to your question, M. Cole, is that on these stocks that I am dollar cost averaging, I will never sell them. Now, have I sold stocks in the past? Yes, I have. I needed to do a business deal in Africa. And so I sold my Tesla stock some years ago, and I sold some Bitcoin to do construction company in Africa. And so I was able to do that and transfer it to something that would have been more lucrative and so more meaningful to me, always knowing that I can dollar cost average back in. So what you're going to do is, I would say, if you need emergency money, you can sell, but you can always go to your banks and you can get loans on your portfolio. And there's a department in every major bank called the Securities Loans Department. And I would just advise people start having these conversations. Go to your bank. So in the Securities Loan Department, it's a whole different thing. So, like you go to the bank. So Securities Loan Department, a lot of times you have to book an appointment. You can't just walk in. So you book an appointment. When you book an appointment and you go see them and you're going to Securities Loans Department, the way they greet you is a whole different thing, man. They got coffee for you. They got donuts for you. They got, they damn near got a full course lunch for you because they know that you're somebody with money, because the only people who come to the Security Loans Department are people who have securities.
That's right. I mean, that's a no-brainer,
Mm-hmm.
And it don't cost them nothing.
Mm-hmm. And usually the Securities Loan Department is like on the upstairs level of the bank. It's not on the ground level. It's on the upstairs. They take you up an elevator.
Yeah,
like you see these bank
elevator.
buildings.
Yeah,
you see these big bank buildings. Okay, this is how you know.
Moving on up.
What level of financial status you're in. If you've only seen the first floor of a bank building, then you ain't got no money. All the people who've got money see the higher levels of the bank building, because the different offices where people are really moving and shaking are above. The retail office is the ground floor. The retail office is, I need a checking account. I need savings. I need to cash a check. That's what the average person does. But the people who are really shaking and baking, like you've got securities, like you've got even stocks worth more than $100,000 or something, they want to talk to you. And you book an appointment and you talk to them and say, listen, man, I got these stocks. I'm sitting on this much money. What type of loan would I be able to get? And usually they will loan you 30% of your portfolio at 1% interest. So I know people, I want y'all to listen carefully to this. I know people who've been doing this stock game for so long that they will go and their mortgage for their house is actually a securities loan from the bank. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. A securities loan from the bank is at 1% interest. A mortgage loan right now is at around 6 to 7%. So you can get a loan. Let's say you had $1 million portfolio and you want to buy a house for $250,000. Well, you could cash out your stock, but why would you cash it out? It's an appreciating asset. So guess what the person does? They'll get a loan for the full value of the house, $250,000, let's say, and get it at 1%. And still hold on to the stock and get the appreciation value of the stock. This is how wealthy people do it. They borrow against their assets at a much cheaper rate than average people get loans at the bank, because it's a secured loan against a rising asset. So imagine if you were able to get your mortgage at 1%, your monthly payments are much cheaper than the same person who got the same house at 6% or 8%. Do you understand why the wealthy keep making money? So no, we do not cash out every year. We don't do any of that. We use it as a base form of income where we use it to leverage different opportunities. And I need you all to remember this. The point of holding on to a stock is to be able to pass it down to your children. If you look at it that way, you understand it's not a get rich quick scheme, because fast money comes with long problems. Okay. And if anyone's trying to sell you fast money, a lot of times it's probably not.
Say that again, please. Please say that again.
Fast money comes with long problems. And so I want to teach people how to make money slowly and over time, because guess what? With this slow appreciation on your money, you have learned something which is the most important thing in making money, which is patience. Patience and discipline. Not everyone is going to be disciplined enough to take 20% of their income and put it into dollar cost averaging a stock. But those who are patient enough to do it are the ones who get rewarded in the end. That is why 90% of people who win the lottery go broke within 5 years. That is why your athletes go broke after they retire. That's why your entertainers go broke. Is because they've never learned the discipline and the patience of money, which is a requirement in wealth building. There is no wealth building without patience and discipline. There's a difference between wealthy and being rich. Rich is ephemeral, it's fleeting. Wealthy is generational. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about generational patient money. And the only time I would cash out any appreciating asset is if I know for sure I've got another asset that's going to appreciate faster than the one that I'm already holding. Right? So all I'm saying to you all is the best way to do this thing is look at your cash flow, look at how much money you're wasting. And your cash flow can be from businesses or your employment at a 9 to 5, whatever it is you're doing. I would say to anyone, the formula is, and I'm going to say it every week, you take, and I got this from The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a book everyone should read. The concept is very simple. Take 20% of your income and pay yourself first. This is the whole thing. Like, no, you don't pay your mortgage first. You pay yourself first. And what is paying yourself? Your investments. That gets paid first. Credit cards get paid second. Debt gets paid second. What gets paid first is your investment. So 20%. So even the way they teach you in that book, before you even pay your electricity bill and all your other bills, whatever, because remember, you're paying other companies. The concept is pay yourself first. And then the other 80%, you figure it out. If you got to cut off Netflix, you got to cut off Netflix. You got to not do a vacation, you don't do a vacation. You got to do. This is the discipline. I've shared with you all the story of Stephen Mark Ryan. He's the guy who went all in Tesla. He got a second job and used the second job's money to buy Tesla stock. He sold his house, put it into Tesla stock, and rents now a studio apartment for like $300, $400 a month. He's been doing it for the past decade. And he owns, we did the math, he has about $40, $50 million worth of Tesla stock. Only because he decided to have discipline, and all the money that he got in the last 10 years, he just put into Tesla. his YouTube channel. He uses his YouTube money and puts it into Tesla. You can do the same thing. And this was not a wealthy guy. He was just a regular kid, you know, had some cash flow from his employment and decided that he's going to not buy anything. The guy didn't even buy a car. I don't even think he owns a car, but he owns Tesla stock like crazy, you know? And so this is what it is, y'all. Pay yourself first.
Wait. So he don't even own a Tesla.
He don't even own a Tesla.
God darn it. He's Ubering everywhere.
He's like his perspective is he's making his young self take care of his older self
That's right.
through
That's
his decisions.
Through his decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about decisions, yeah. All about the decisions we make.
Yeah.
You know, and the way that we look. Are we thinking in 100 years or are we thinking in one day? You want to cover Money Mayweather real quick? I heard he is getting smacked right now.
No, I don't know what's
there
going
was
on
a-
with him. What's going on with him?
He's wanted by the feds for passing a bad check for 200 grand to buy a damn watch, right? That's one
Yeah.
thing. Then he said that he got robbed by his Jewish manager and whatnot. He tried to make the guy look bad, and then dude came back with all the receipts and was like, fam, you are the one who robbed yourself. I was trying to help you maintain. So he basically got outed by a person that he had everybody thinking that they was going to do him dirty, but they cleaned him out. Basically, the small hats came, cleaned his ass out, and he's about to be with Diddy somewhere in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what goes on with these celebrities. And sometimes here's the thing. If you spend any time with these celebrities, and I have, it's not what you think. And a lot of things that you get in the news from celebrities are literally planted in the news by celebrities and their PR team. So a lot of the drama that you might hear from them, a lot of it ain't even true. A lot of it is just them trying to stay in the news. So I don't know what his situation is. But if he's got money problems at all, it's because Floyd Mayweather has never had anyone in his life that he takes seriously teach him about assets and liabilities. So he might have made $1 billion boxing or $800 million boxing, but it means nothing if all of your money is in liabilities. And so what they try to get Black folks to get into is consumerism. It's like, I never understood, I just didn't understand because I've never been into cars. I never understood why, when people got wealthy, the first thing they did was all buy the same type of cars. I never understood it. I never understood why, Mercedes or this or BMW. Like when I was younger, those were the main cars, right? Like it was almost like programmed that whenever you get money, you have to do this. Okay. What's really funny is when I used to be a lawyer in Miami, I used to do legal work for a Jewish guy who owned a forklift company. Basically what he did was he would buy forklifts from China, private labeled forklifts from China, and then put his logo on the forklifts. And that's what he did. So he'd get them from China for cheap, and then he would sell them or lease them to companies that needed forklifts. That was his money. For some reason, this Jewish guy took to me. He just liked me for some reason. I think what it was I never forget. Every 2 weeks, I would get a paycheck. And his wife was running the payroll. She made a mistake and paid me more than she was supposed to pay me. And I saw the check and I went back to her and I said, you paid me double what you were supposed to pay me. Right? And she said, what? And she looked at it and she saw I was right. The next day, the owner of the company calls me because I was his legal counsel. This was in the early 2000s, y'all, when I used to practice law. And he came to me and he said, you know, yesterday I cried. And I said, what do you mean? What happened? He said, my wife told me that we overpaid you. And you came back immediately and told her that you over. Do you understand that we have 50 employees here? Nobody has ever given back money. This has happened before. My wife has made mistakes before. It is what it is. You know, it's happened before. But we realize it maybe months later when we do audits or whatever that she overpaid. And it's happened like 4 times in our company's history, 5 times. And, you know, I'm always scared that this might happen, but you're the first person and the only person who's actually ever given back money. So now I'm going to treat you like a son. This is what he told me. This guy was crying. So because of this guy would make me present at all important meetings. And what I got to find out was he was funded by another Jewish guy, an older Jewish guy. And the guy's name was Roy Jonas. Turns out the funder of this company I was working for as the general counsel owned a bank. And Roy Jonas used to come to the office. He owns a bank in Miami. This is no small thing. And Roy Jonas used to come up in shorts, a beach t-shirt, like one of them Hawaiian t-shirts, and sandals. And he drove a Honda Civic.
A bucket.
He drove a Honda Civic, and you would never know that this man was a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And it just showed me that we're marketed things in our mind, but wealthy people don't behave like that. Wealthy people do not show off their wealth. They don't like. It's not a big deal to drive a Mercedes to them. It's not a big deal to wear designer clothes. They don't care about those things. They're looking for the next lick. And they'll sell their right arm to be able to participate in the next IPO or the next private listing of a big company. They'll sell their arm for that. They don't give a damn about the things that, you know, these athletes and entertainers care about. They just don't care about those things, y'all. They want to know what's the next lick, what's the next opportunity to 10x my money. That's the conversations that they want to have. They don't care about your vacations. They don't care about the watches you're wearing. They don't care about the car you're driving. They don't care about those things. I'm just telling y'all that. So we've been marketed a bill of goods that doesn't serve us well, because what happens is that, oh, I'm rich now. I've got to buy the biggest house on the block. Oh, I'm rich now. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And all you're doing is buying liabilities. And this is why Floyd Mayweather will forever be in a cycle of poverty. And then will be a chance that his grandchildren will be poor. There's a high probability that his grandchildren will be poor because granddad flushed all of it down the toilet.
Damn. He don't got those 100,000 Tesla stocks.
Exactly.
Because I never seen them do the you know how they do the money phone or they do the money spread. I never seen them do the stock spread yet. You know what I mean?
No, they're not going
and
to.
A person like him with his materialism, he would have done that if he had it.
Yes, because he's never been taught that a stock is more valuable than a dollar. That's why I started the conversation off with that premise. That you rather hold a stock than a dollar because a dollar is always going to depreciate. A stock has a chance of going up. So I'm always going to put my money into something. I'm going to transfer. Let's not even say put my money. I'm going to transfer my dollars into a better growth vehicle. That's it. This is what investing is about. I'm transferring the liability of holding a dollar into something that's going to actually grow that money. So it's going to be something that's more valuable than dollars. And anything that costs more than a dollar is more valuable than dollars. So all you have to do is get some type of vehicle, whether it be real estate, stocks, crypto, and you can see that it's more valuable and it's going to be more valuable than $1, which means that it costs more than $1 to purchase one of that thing, that means that that thing is more valuable than your dollar. So you'd rather have that one thing as opposed to that $1. Anytime something is greater than $1, it's more valuable. And if it has a trajectory of going up, you want to transfer your dollar into that thing. That's what investing is about. And if you don't understand that, so what Floyd Mayweather is doing is he is putting money, he's transferring his money into things that are worth less than $1 in terms of its depreciating value. So the dollar is going down always, and he's buying things that are actually losing value quicker than the dollar, when he should be buying things that are accelerating quicker than the dollar is even falling. See, that's the difference. Floyd Mayweather is doing this. Here's his dollar, and he's transferring his dollar into a faster sinking ship. That's the jewelry. That's the cars. That's the, whatever he's doing, spending money on women, this and that. All of that is going down in terms of return on investment. It all goes down along with the dollar. So he's accelerating the loss of money. Whereas if he took the dollars that he's getting that inevitably go down and he put it into something that was going up, like stock or real estate or anything like that, he'd be having depreciating money that's appreciating because you've transferred the money over into something else. And until he learns that concept, it's a simple concept that if he could just, like, if I sat down with Floyd Mayweather for 30 minutes, I could just show him first principles thinking, and he would want to kick himself, because I'd be able to show him, look, man, with $100 million, if you just put that into, like, if you just put it into Netflix, I ask him, you watch Netflix? He'd probably say, yeah, I watch Netflix. I could just show him, hey, man, if you'd have put 100 million into Netflix just like a year ago, you'd have more money than you have now. Like, that's just a fact, or not even a year. You'd say you don't want to do a year, because things can get funny. But you can say 5 years, or you could even do the last 10 years, because Floyd Mayweather has been in business for a long time making money. But if he started out in 2000, just putting his money into Netflix, he would have 73x his money. Netflix has been up 72,000% since it started. Like, this is a lot. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not 72. It's 720 times his money. I'm not making this up. Look at this, y'all. I'm just using Netflix because everyone knows about Netflix. But I could use even companies that's even crazier. You see Netflix? Do you see that red pill? Do you see
Yes,
the
sir.
percentage over time? 72,000.
72,000. That's crazy.
So that's 720x. Now, if he would have done NVIDIA, so if you do NVIDIA, and let's just say you got into NVIDIA the last 5 years, you'd be up 11 times your money. So Floyd Mayweather, this is just the past 5 years. That means between 2021, COVID, and now,
Right.
Floyd Mayweather would have made 11 times his money if someone told him put it in NVIDIA. And I've been investing in NVIDIA since before then. So what I'm saying is that it was easy to know about NVIDIA in 2021. You could have put your money, 100 million, into NVIDIA, and his 100 million today would be $1.1 billion. That's what it would be. And that's 5 years. But if we went for the maximum time, it's 260x. It's 26,000.
Lord have mercy.
It's like, I don't know, like, how more to tell people, but when you show people these numbers, people get sick in the stomach, because what happens is that in our communities,
They get FOMO.
yeah, in our educational system is trash.
I'm about to say that there needs to be an emergency memorandum on all all educational institutions where melanated, this needs to be interjected immediately. Like if parents want to boycott and go crazy about something, I feel that this is it. Teach our children finances immediately. These young children, with the way that they understand money, they'll be able to get this. They will be able to apply this immediately, and they will prosper.
Yes, and all of the listeners, you should make it your duty to get your family involved in this. Like you should, show your children. Like my son knows, he can look at a stock chart and tell me certain things. He can tell me if it's oversold and overbought and all of that. So he's already getting, he came to me the other day, like he's 10. He wants me to open an account for him.
As he should.
And I'm going to do it. But the point is this. Everything that I've told you all today is easily understandable. And you do not need a lot of money to get into stocks. You can get in, as I showed you, with $10. Now, here's the other thing. It's not just Robinhood where you can get stocks. You can get it on Cash App. I don't know if you all knew this, but you can buy stocks on Cash App.
Yep.
Instead of buying things on Cash App, whatever you using Cash App for, you can literally use your money to buy stocks, and you can set Cash App up so that it takes money from your account
every week or every month. Bitcoin with Cash App. Yep.
Yeah, you can do what you call dollar cost averaging, which is just recurring investment, and it just takes the money. It just takes the money from your account, and it builds up your wealth over time. And there's nothing is 100% sure, but from my looking at this, there's no easier way or more surefire way or a greater opportunity to reach $1 million than to dollar cost average for at least 5 years on the top stocks in the top industry of the day. Whatever that industry is, whether it's automobiles in the 1920s, whether it's Coca-Cola in the 1950s, whether it's electric vehicles in 2010, if it's in 15 in 2020, if it's Google, if it's all you have to do is ask yourself a question. Is this technology cheaper, easier, more efficient, and more convenient? And if it answers those questions, you jump in. That's it. All of those answers are yes. When you look at Google, Google took information to a different place. Before you had to go to the library. Now it's at your fingertips. It's more convenient, it's easier, and it's more efficient use of your time. And so Google's going to outpace libraries. You have the library of the world at your fingertips. So information now is easier. You can send information through email. It starts affecting, the mail industry because people are no longer writing letters. You can get instant information to people. This is transformative. So then you just see who's on top and you invest in those companies. And because we don't have infinite amount of money and most of us get money on a biweekly or a monthly basis, it is up to you now. And I'm giving you the formula. Take 20% of your income, whatever it is. I don't care if you make $1,000 a month. If you're making $1,000 a month, you need to have $200 in some type of growth vehicle every month. You need to invest 20%. And if you stick with this rule and you take it seriously and you imbue this into your children and inculcate this into your children and pound this into your children's head, that you pay yourself first 20% of whatever you're getting, and you put it into the leading technology, the leading companies within that technology of the day, you're literally guaranteeing your children to be in a much better place than all of their cohorts, all of their friends, all of the people around them who are not doing this. And by the time they're 30, they're going to be sitting on thousands of shares of a company that's worth $1,000 a share. And you just keep doing it. And then as you're doing it, you're more comfortable. One day, it happened to me. One day you open up your account and you say, damn, I can't believe this. And you're looking at all these commas and zeros. That's what happened to me with Bitcoin and Tesla stock. I opened up my account one day and I was like, damn, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't have to worry about anyone ever trying to cancel me or anything. So I can tell you all right now, because of what I've done and this approach that I've done, and because I have businesses too, it's literally a mathematical and scientific fact that my child, my son, will never, ever have to ask anyone for a job. He'll never, ever have to do a resume. Ever. And this is just a fact. Like, this isn't like hyperbole. I'm just telling you that because of the steps that I've taken, my son will never, ever have to ask anyone for a job. Ever. And it's a good place to be. And I'm saying that all of us,
Day.
and all of it, yeah, man, and all of us can be in that position by taking this. And everyone who sees this inevitably will say, I'm sick to my stomach that I didn't know this 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Because everyone knows about these companies. Just about everyone watching is, hey, everyone. And then people say, oh, why are we making these? We don't want to invest in these companies, but you're ordering things from Amazon. You're watching Netflix. You're on Facebook. You're on YouTube. So you are making money and giving attention to these companies that you're saying that you shouldn't invest in. You've invested your time into these companies. So you might as well make some money out of them. This is the point that I'm making, because you're going to get a lot of people who are in a certain type of space. They're like, F the system and this and that. And that's fine. I agree with you too. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to buy things from those companies and then tell other people not to invest and make money off the companies, because you're in a losing position as the buyer and not the investor. So if you're the consumer and you think it's okay to buy from Amazon but not invest and make money off of Amazon, or you're on Facebook all day arguing with people about politics and this and that, but you haven't taken the chance to look at the Facebook chart and see how much money you could have made. There's a lot of people watching on Facebook now. All right, for all the people watching on Facebook and the people watching on YouTube, okay, because there's people right now, I'm sure, I haven't even looked at the chats. There's people in the chat who are like, I can't believe we're talking about investing in stocks in the beast, in the system, and this and that. And they're on YouTube saying it. Do you realize that you watching this on YouTube or watching any YouTube is actually making YouTube money? Because the viewers is what allows them to have an advertising base and to charge advertisers a certain amount of money. So you are actually contributing to the growth of YouTube in terms of money. And what are you getting in return? All you're getting in return is what you think the value is of venting and trying to show how smart you are, to talk about the system and talk about how bad the system is. But you are actually participating in making the same companies that you're railing against wealthy. So why not change your relationship with them? And so what we're going to do is this, because there's a lot of naysayers and a lot of people in our communities who are know-it-alls. They're the ones who told you in 2010, don't invest in Bitcoin because it's a Ponzi scheme, right? And I didn't listen to them because I read the white paper and I knew what it was about, right? Check this out. What we're going to do is we're going to look at Facebook and Google. That's what we're going to do. And how much money you've made, because many of you are watching this on Facebook and you're watching on YouTube, which is owned by Google. So let's do Meta. Meta is Facebook. And you all have been on Facebook arguing with people and taking, and
get $1 for it.
Yeah, and taking what you call selfies and posting what you ate today and this and that. Okay, so in the last 5 years, if you invested in Facebook, that's a 75% return. That's better than nothing, but the max is what's important. This is from IPO. You'd have made 1,400%, which is 15x your money since Facebook went public, which was in 2012. So that's in the last 14 years, you'd have definitely made, remember that 10x I'm telling you all about? 10x is when this says 1,900% or more. So it definitely has reached this 10x within 10 years, which what I would call a good investment. It needs to reach 10x within 5 to 10 years. And it did that. Let's just see within the first 5 years where we were at. So within the first 5 years, which would be 2017, we were at 4x. Okay. I would like to see 10x really, but you did get to 10x here. When did you get to 10x? You got to 10x there when it hit 900 there, 2024. So it took 12 years for Facebook to 10x. Okay. I'm looking for 10x a lot sooner than that, but I wouldn't be mad at you if you just held on to it, because eventually you end up making 15x holding on to this stock. What I'm saying is that in the meantime, between time, how many posts have you made or read or responded to on Facebook between 2012 and now? And if you haven't gotten $1, Facebook has gotten over on you. I've made money from Facebook stock and options, so I can be on Facebook and feel fine because I know that my relationship with Facebook is not a predatory, unbalanced relationship. They're making money off of me, but I'm making money off of them. I like to have a balanced relationship with multinational corporations. If they're making money off of me, I need to make money off of them. That's my mentality. So therefore, if I'm going to buy from Amazon, I'm going to own their stock and make money off of them like Jeff Bezos is making money off of me. Many of us, we have an unbalanced relationship with multinational corporations where we're just consumers and not people who are actually making money off of these companies. I believe in reciprocity. Okay? So if you are contributing any of your time, let's do YouTube. Let's do Google. So we get a lot of people talking, but when you see the numbers, people get really quiet. Google. So Google, can you see Google right now? Red pill? That's Alphabet, Class A.
That's Alphabet. Yep.
Okay. So last year.
Daddy.
Okay. So in the last year, Google has doubled. So you made double your money with Google. 5 years, it's up triple. 200% is 3x. Since Google started, you'd have made 140 times your money. That's 14,000x. I mean, that's 14,000%, which is 140x. So think about this. A Floyd Mayweather, all these people. He would have made, if he just put $1 million into Google, because people, look how flat Google was for many years. You had an opportunity to buy Google under $10, under $20. And what I'm saying is, if someone would have shown all of these athletes and these people who love to be in the news, occupying people's mind space, these people are struggling. You meet a lot of these celebrities, and if they sit down and talk to you, a lot of them are broke. And the only money that they can make is off their name in some type of way, of past things that they've done. But they don't know how to really make money off the future because no one ever told them how. It's really not their fault. But it is your fault in 2026 because we're in an information society and you can damn near sit down and teach yourself anything. And it depends on what you want to spend your time learning or having put into your mind. If it's foolishness, then foolishness is what you're going to get. But if you wanted to learn about stocks and all this, it would be nothing for you to find out what's happening with Red Pill and what Red Pill is doing. He's plugged in. You could tap into his show, and the people tuning in now are learning because they want something better than what they've already got. So the point of the matter is that if you have been on any Google properties, which is a Google search, which is YouTube, Google has been making money off of you. And the question that you have to ask is, have you been making money off of Google? You should be very upset if your answer is no, because there was a lot of money to be made. If you put $1,000, just $1,000 into Google from the beginning of Google, you would have 140x that money. You would have $140,000. And this is from 2004, y'all, is when Google went public. 2004, that's less than 20 years. I mean, that's a little bit more than 20 years. That's 22 years ago. Do y'all remember what y'all were doing in 2004? I do. Imagine if you were dollar cost averaging all the way now to now. Even if you were dollar cost averaging, I probably could do the math. if you were dollar cost averaging $100, okay, let's ask the question. If you were dollar cost averaging $100 a month into Google from the beginning until now, about how much money would you have? Is that an interesting question? Let's do it. Let's bust out the calculator. Let's do it, y'all. Now, this isn't going to be exact numbers, by the way, because there's a lot of compounding that goes into place. But I'm going to just, and I probably can figure out a formula that I could do with Grok to figure out how much it would be. I could ask Grok this question, but I'm going to do it another way. I'm going to take the median price. Okay. I'm just going to take the median price, which is your average cost. If you just dollar cost average all the way. Okay. So let's do that. And the number I'm going to give you is going to be less than what you would actually have because there's a lack of compounding that's taking place, but we can get some rough numbers here. Okay. So let's just see how I'm going to do this. Check this out. Google starts at $2.57. It ends at right now $3.84. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the median or the mean of $2.57 and $3.64. I'm going to take the middle of that. So let's just do the math. $3.64 plus 2.57. Of course, I could have done this in my head, but I just want to do this for illustrative purposes. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to divide it by 2 to get the mean. Okay. So your average cost would be $183 per share if you basically bought Google every day or every week up until today. Your average cost would be $183 per share. Okay. Now let's figure out how much money you would spend at $100 a month. So $100 a month comes out to $1,200 a year. Okay. And it's been 24 years. So just remember 183. I'm gonna jot down 183 for y'all. Okay, we're gonna jot down 183. 183. Now, like I said, you're actually gonna have more, but I just want to do this. So let's just say that every year you put in $100. Let's do something more realistic. Let's just say you did $300 a month. Okay, $300 a month. $300 a month times 12 is $3,600 a year. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take $3,600 times 22. So let's just say you've put $79,200 into Google stock because every month you did $300. Okay. So that $79,200, you're going to divide it by $183. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that you're going to have more, but that's 432. 432, and the price, this is just $300 a month. 364 times, you at the very least, but you're going to have more than that though, times 364. Okay, so for that $10,000 contribution, no, how much was it? It was 79,000. Yeah, you'd have more than doubled your money. But here's the deal. This is the worst case scenario because I did not do compounding. But you'd be ostensibly 157,000, but it's actually going to be much more than that. Okay, but that's still a good number for doing $300 a month. But here's the deal. To be completely honest with you, the stocks is a little bit different because if I went year by year, let's just say let's say you did $300 a month and it's $3. It ranges from so for $3 for the first, okay, for the first couple of years is between 3 and 7. Okay, so $3 at 300 gives you 100 shares a month. And let's say you did that by 12. You're already sitting on 1,200 shares here. Okay, and then let's just say it goes to $7 for this year. Okay, let's do it. That would be 600 shares. So that'd be 1,800. And then the next year, it goes on and on and on and on. 1,800, 2,005. So you'd be looking at close more than 1,000 shares. I'm going to come up with a better formula for this. But what I'm quite clear about is that this number actually would be a lot higher. I'm going to come up with a better formula because that was too long to go, because that 180 is not an accurate reflection of the mean. Because look at this, it went so long under $60. It's only recently it's been over 100. So you'd have actually bought so many more shares between this time and that time where you probably have 10 times more shares than I'm talking about. I'm going to come up with a formula for y'all next week that I can ask. Maybe I can ask Grok. Let's ask Grok, and maybe Grok can do the math. So this is how you use AI. Okay. If I dollar cost average $300 a month. Let's have AI do the math. $300 a month. Because it's going to look at all the fluctuations and it's going to actually look at the compounding even better than what I could do. Because I left out the compounding. But if I dollar cost average $300 per month, if I dollar cost averaged DCA $300 per month into Google Class A stock until from IPO until today, what would be the value of my Google investment? Okay, he's going to have to do some complicated math and look at historicals. And let's just see if Grok is able to give me this answer. So you all are seeing in real time how you can use AI to solve some of these things that may seem to be complicated, okay? All right. Let's see what Grok is telling me. It's still doing the math. It's executing. It actually came up with code. Okay. It's saying that it would be worth DCA notes study 300. So they're saying the answer would be you have close to between $280,000 to $320,000. That's what you'd have. So it's a little bit more than what I was saying. Now, what about Amazon? You can just start asking these questions, and you would see the type of money you'd have for just $300 a month that you put in. Now, $300 a month under the 20% rule, that means that you're making $1,500 a month. $300 a month, you'd be sitting on $290,000, 260. In other words, more than $250,000 if you just did $300 a month since the beginning of Amazon. Right? And here's the funny thing. I'm about to look in the camera now. I'm gonna look at everybody's face. Notice that for $300 a month, if you put it into Amazon, you'd be sitting at around 290, more than $250,000. Okay, but check this out. I want y'all to see something. Do you know that there are people spending more than $300 a month on Amazon purchases? There are people spending more than $300 a month on Amazon purchases. So if you can buy things from Amazon for $300 a month, you certainly could buy the stock and be sitting on $250,000. This is the point that I'm trying to make to y'all. And it gets crazier when we start looking at other stocks that even grew faster. But the point of the matter is that no one is teaching us this. And so what we're doing is when we work and we get money, we end up throwing away the money instead of putting it into a pot that's going to grow faster.
So consumer mentality is basically the root to poverty right now. I mean, without being facetious or finger pointing or trying to down anybody, it's just a simple formula that we've been trained, and we are basically the uneducated consumer. We are consumer based. We're not prosumer, and we're not an investor class.
Nope. And then it gets even crazier because I'm changing the question now to 300 a week.
Right. When you said the word pool, that's what kind of like piqued my interest, because literally, if I'm living amongst a family unit where we have husband and wife and children, everybody will be contributing into that 300 a week pot, regardless of anything. You know, I told people before, I'm monetizing the babies. They could do one of them silly ass dances. They on TikTok. We monetizing them. You know what I mean?
Now,
no stone left unturned.
Yes.
Everybody gets monetized in the household. Or
absolutely.
Why are you here?
Absolutely. Now check this out. Check this out. $300 a week comes to $1,200 a month. I asked Grok the question: if you did $300 a week in Google since it began, how much money would you have? And look at the answer. $1.35 million. If you did $1,200 a month into Google, and what does this $1,200 a month mean? See, this is why people, they cut down their expenses. So they're now living in a flashy house or a condo by the beach. They're using that money and their dollar cost averaging into these companies. And before you know it, 20 years later, they're millionaires that don't have to work because this is all they did. And they're not smarter than you. They just have more discipline, didn't waste their money. So what I'm saying that if you were able to just marshal $300 a week, and I'm not saying that this is like, you know what I'm saying, like little money for the average person, but some of y'all, we spend $300 a week on trash, $1,200 a month. You know, you may have an extra car you don't need or this and that you don't need. You start looking at your expenses and you start cutting it down. You might be able to scrape $1,200 a month. That $1,200 a month is what you basically be able to do if you're making a little bit more than $50,000 a year. You take 20% of that, and that's $1,200 a month. And if you did that till today, you'd be sitting on $1.3 million on Google, which isn't even the most explosive growth company. And you could just ask your AI, whether you have ChatGPT, Gemini, you can ask this type of question all throughout. Just say, if I did $100 a week with Amazon or Google or Tesla or whatever till today, how much money would I have since IPO? And it will tell you. And you literally would be sitting on millions. And so I just want people to understand how this thing works. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, when you talk about compounding, it usually is even more than what AI is talking about. I mean, I'll come up with a formula that'll be able to do it. But the point of the matter is that, you know, people gotta look into this, and your children should be taught this, and your children should be more excited about buying stock than they are about buying shoes. That's the bottom line. If your children can get to the point where you've trained them where they're more excited to buy stocks than they are to buy shoes and in cars, and then you've trained your child correctly to not be impoverished. There's no way in the world anybody um, who's been making sizable amounts of money for any amount of time, and what I mean by sizable is over 100,000 a year. If you're making more than 100,000 a year for any amount of time, and you're not doing this, then you've robbed yourself. If you make $50,000 a year and you're not doing this, you've robbed yourself. If you're making $30,000 a year and you're not taking some money out and doing this, you haven't robbed. You just didn't know. Like, you know, people who make 100,000, people make five. You're in different types of spaces where these conversations should be taking place. $30,000 a year, you kind of live in hand to mouth and you're just worried about working, but this should be information that was taught to you in grade school. But they make you think that stocks is something reserved for certain types of people and only you have to be rich to understand this, and that's not the case. If you can send money on Cash App, you can buy stocks. It's that simple. Okay? So it's that easy to do. You just link up your bank account and you buy stuff. And if you tune into shows like this, you get ideas of which stocks to pick, and you can do your due diligence to see how they work out. Every show, I go over my picks and what it looks like. What you all have seen week after week, you're seeing growth in money. So for those people who are interested in following my picks in terms of stock options in real time and Forex trades and gold, silver, I think I'm in a silver trade right now. My Forex screen isn't up, but you know, I make money in different ways doing this. The most popular way that people follow me is through the stock options, which is different than buying stocks. But in terms of the dollar cost averaging, we're holding on to 5 or 10 years. And if we find something better, we transfer the money into that. But for 5 to 10 years, we are in these AI companies, and we're always going with the best performing AI companies. The losers, we don't even pay attention to. We look at the top 5 performing and we put our money into that and we hold on to that and do it religiously for 5 to 10 years. And our money starts looking real different. Okay? So hopefully this was helpful for y'all. We've been on for 3 hours and I think that we've given you all a lot of value. Brother Red Pill, please, you can close out.
Yes, indeed. Family, make sure you show the good brother some love. Tap into what he's doing. I feel like this is the most important show on this platform in terms of kinetic knowledge that will improve people's situations in life, you know, because your nervous system is able to be regulated when things are settled and whatnot. When you know that you have a 100-year plan, you could think good, you could think clearly, you become more attractive, you become more magnetic. The information that we've been learning over the decades is fine and dandy, but if we have not helped you build a foundation financially where you can have FU money, then I feel that we failed you. The only thing that I'm regretting is that the brother didn't get on this platform 10 years ago when he was stacking Bitcoin at $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. But other than that, y'all are getting everything that you deserve in terms of applicable information, connect knowledge. We not out here rebel rousing, making no noise. And I need y'all to do, if you appreciate what I'm doing and what the brother's doing, these videos should be 10,000, 20,000. I'm not taking no shots at anything that's out there, but it's a lot of frivolousness. Y'all won't even hold the people accountable that get on these shows and get on the internet and say that the Knicks was going to lose and they won. Y'all don't hold people accountable that said that the world was going to end and it kept going. Y'all don't hold the people accountable that told you ways that you could heal yourself and people start dying and whatnot. And I'm holding the people to the fire for that. I see hypocrites amongst us, and y'all won't stand on business. You feel me? Here we are standing on business, and we just saying, as a result of that, we not even asking you for nothing. We just saying, spread the word, spread the good word, like you would spread a rumor and whatnot. Let it go. So with that being said, peace, love, and light. We'll see y'all later on. We also have a class coming up. This also kinetic knowledge called GitHub Money. That's a workshop. Not enough people are pulling up for that. But you know what? It's all good. The ancestors are smiling on us, and the universe is conspiring for our success. For those of us that can hear that whistle, and those that respond, salute. I appreciate y'all. And for those that don't, then one day you will hear the whistle. You know what I'm saying? We're going to continue to blow it and whatnot. Pause. Love and light. You know what I'm talking about? New York Knicks. Shout out to New York.
All right, y'all. See y'all next Monday. Next Monday, we will be doing part 2 of autoimmune illnesses. On the Health Results Monday, we'll be going over Dr. Cicero Coimbra's protocol for autoimmune illnesses. Those of y'all who want to do homework, you can just go on YouTube and put in Coimbra protocol, Coimbra, and look at the great results that he's had with autoimmune diseases. Last week we did Dr. Alan McDonald, and this Monday we did, past Monday we did Dr. Alan McDonald and autoimmune diseases, where he was showing what he was seeing under the microscopes in terms of nematodes, parasites, and so we have that approach. And then we also have the immune system approach with vitamin D and Dr. Coimbra. So you can do some homework before then. Watch his interviews, his lectures, case studies, the success stories, and then you'll understand why we have the protocol that we have at Herbal Results, which combines Dr. Alan McDonald's work and Dr. Coimbra's work into one synthesized approach. And that's why we've been getting great results with autoimmune illnesses. So we'll cover that part 2 next Monday, and next Wednesday we'll be going over more of this information.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom. I did get I did. Happy Father's Day.
Okay, cool. That's coming up?
That's coming up on Sunday for all of my fathers that are out there, because they get a lot of, can I get on my soapbox real quick?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
When it comes to this community, in particular, what they call the conscious community, and I'm not being sexist or gender and everything, but the men who has taught the world how to be men and how to be great and how to be gods amongst men, they don't get enough credit. You know what I mean? We are the sons of this information, and we've benefited immensely off of the teachings for over 100 years, when it started in the 20s and whatnot, with the El Malik, with the Elijahs and the Noble Drew Ali's and the Marcus Mosiah Garveys, and they've been going nonstop ever since then and whatnot. Salute to Chicago Crypto in the building. All of my fathers, man, all of my fathers, all of the Babas and whatnot. Like, I feel that everybody in this community owes the Babas of consciousness more than what y'all give them. You dig what I'm saying? Like, not even monetarily, but monetarily and energetically, we need more respect and we need more love for the people who we put our lives on the line for, because generations are being healed with this information. Real talk. And I'm not just getting in my, you know what I mean? I don't see respect for men. I don't see the respect for the fathers. I don't see the respect for the Babas and whatnot. I understand that there's some bad people in this world, and I understand that there's absentees and everything. But for the ones who showed up, and for the ones who put it on the line, and for the ones who stand 10 toes, there are master teachers that die with no blemishes on their names and nothing. No smears on their names, and they stood for the people. I need y'all to show more respect and more love for the Babas of consciousness. And I'm gonna just leave it right there. And for you, my good brother, like I said, and for brothers like Chicago Crypto, the ones who put in that work so their children's children are gonna be good, y'all are the legends in my eyes, man. And I salute y'all forever and always. Big ups.
Enough respect to everybody, and we will see you all this coming Monday. Just for those people who are interested, I will be in Richmond, Virginia, doing a lecture on health. And let me just share the flyer with you all. For those who are in the Virginia area, I will be on Saturday. I will be giving a lecture on cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune illnesses. And this is the flyer for those who are interested in attending and you're in the area. It should be monumental. I know a lot of our people are sick, and so we're providing this service for people to get a good way to think about illness from a first principles approach and being able to solve their problems in the comfort of your own home. This is the flyer here. So it's going to be a Juneteenth celebration, and I think I need to make it a little smaller to fit. Okay, yeah, that's the flyer. June 20th, 2026. You need more information, just email me at herbalresults.net, info@herbalresults.net, and I can send you the flyer. It's going to be at 5705 South Laburnum Avenue in Richmond, Henrico, Virginia, 23231. If you want to buy tickets, I believe it's $10. You go to healYth.net, healith.net website, and you get your tickets there. So we should have a lot of people in the house, and we'll have testimonials of reversals, and people can ask whatever questions they want. Products will be available, so you can start the protocol to getting on your way to solving your problem and to get your 21-year-old body back. Okay, that's what we'll be doing. That's this Saturday, June 20th at 1 p.m. sharp. We'll be starting at 1 p.m. sharp. So be there on time. I always like to start on time.
Any
Any
upcoming dates in Atlanta by any chance?
There's a conversation about me coming in Atlanta to do a lecture in July, in late July, another health lecture. So that might be happening as well. And then I'll be in London, England, July 11th, I believe. I'll have that flyer next week for people as well. So, the word is being spread, and we just want to provide value to people and show people the proper way to think about these things, solve your health problems, solve your wealth problems, and you can live a charmed life that you can pass on to your children. Because really, at the end of the day, the two things that human beings have to solve is you have to solve the health issue, you got to solve the wealth issue. You solve those two issues, you're on your way to living a very productive life and having a life that is reflective of who you really want to be, because a lot of us don't even know who we really want to be. And what I mean by that is that you don't know who you are or who you want to be unless you have the time and you're not pressed by money. Most people's daily activities is focused on getting money and how they can make more money or get money to survive, which means that you don't even have the time to even think and rest and contemplate who you really are. Because Marcus Garvey said something. He said, you never know a man until his back is against the wall. And I've added something else too. You never know a man until he can do whatever he wants.
That's deep.
Yeah. Most people can't do what they want because they're physically restricted through their health and through their lack of money.
Lack of wealth.
But what happens if you have an athlete's health and you have a multimillionaire's bank account? Who would you be and what would you do?
Right.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't really know who they are because they've been so constricted by certain pressures that they've been limited in the choices of life.
So they're not even really living, you're saying? They're just
not only
existing?
not really living, they don't even know who they are. Because you don't know who you are when you're under pressure. Like, okay, ultimate pressure lets you know who you are. Like, are you someone who's scared, who will cower under pressure, or you're going to be someone who performs?
Like fight or flight?
Yes, but the other side too, or like going to war. Like, you might think you're a tough guy, but when the bombs start dropping or the hurricane's coming, the Category 5 is a hurricane coming, the children and women are screaming around you, and you're supposed to be the leader. Or do you really have what it takes in that moment of emergency? A lot of people have never been tested like that. So you don't know who you really are because you don't know what you would do under pressure, how you perform under real pressure, where lives are on the line based on the decisions that you make. A lot of people have never been in that situation. The other side of it is, what happens if money was not an issue? What would you do with your day?
Right.
That's the indication of who you really are. Because if money wasn't an issue, how would you occupy your time? And the way you would occupy your time is reflective of who you really are. But most people don't know who they really are because they don't have that freedom of time, because they're trying to make money. And so what I'm saying is that making money and solving any health issues gives you a window as to who you are and who you're really supposed to be, because you don't have any health constraints and you don't have wealth constraints. Who are you? Are you actually a good person?
Right.
You know, most people think they're good people, but they're just limited by the, you know, like if you got $100 million, would you waste it too? Would you buy gold chains and diamonds and floss? And maybe you would.
Or would you contribute to uplifting fallen humanity
Exactly.
and making things better for people?
Or would you take an hour or 2-3 hours a week or 5 hours a week to educate people on how you became free?
Right.
And do it for free, like what we're doing now. You know, because most people who've made good amount of money, they don't do this type of activity. They don't tell you how they made it. But the really funny thing is, if you meet somebody who's made a lot of money, and if they're comfortable with you, they will spill all the beans. I've been able to sit down with billionaires, multimillionaires, and for some reason, they'll just spill the beans to me. They'll tell me everything. Because if you ask the right questions and they think that you're a competent person, they love to share with you how they got successful. Rich people love telling stories.
Yep.
Wealthy people love sharing stories with you. And so I would just say that, man, like more than anything, the economic freedom allows you to see who you really are. Are you really an asshole? Are you really greedy, or are you charitable? Are you a fool with money? Are you getting this wealth to behave like a fool and to treat people bad? Or are you getting this wealth and you're going to actually be transformative with your wealth to the people around you? And most people would like to think that they would be transformative, but it turns out that a lot of people, when they do get the money, they become assholes, just like the assholes they were complaining about.
Right.
So you know, I mean, I've seen it too. I've seen it too. So,
brother, Baba Heru, are you familiar with my good brother Chicago Crypto?
No.
Huh?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna introduce you to the good brother. He's in the chat right now.
Okay.
He's an example of, you know, seeing somebody who literally could just take, he could ride off into the sunset and never do another class, you know what I mean? Just spend years counting his money and whatnot because of his investment skills and whatnot. And I've been booked. He's in Chicago, and I've gone to events where I've been booked to speak at with the good brother. And we've been in his neighborhood, we've been in the hood, we've been in the trenches, and the brother's heart is so pure. I mean, he's practicing so much, he's on his dean so much that, you know, the brother is giving to his, you know what I mean? He's giving them this information. I'm talking about nonstop, religiously, right? Not in Hyde Park, you feel me? Not amongst the Caucasians in Chicago, in the trenches where they need it the most, right? Giving them this information arduously. And it just shows me the character. It shows, because he doesn't have to do this, but it just shows me, it's like, yo, he is wealthy in spirit and in his soul. So this money thing is just it's a byproduct of what he has been able to fashion inside of him, and you as well, my good brother. So it's like, even though we're talking health and wealth, the true health and the true wealth, I feel, is the cultivation of one's heart. You dig what I'm saying? And the love that we have for doing what we do. And it just naturally, everything falls into place. So I want our people to see that as an example for this Father's Day that's coming up. Let's focus on those amongst us that have hearts of gold and whatnot. And that's the true wealth, if you were to ask me. You feel me? And that's the true health, because when you come into a room, or when somebody says your name and you're not in a room, it has wealth attached to it. and it has health attached to it. It's not toxic. It's not negative. It doesn't bring you down. It brings you up. So salute to everybody amongst us that are doing things to help their, with their heart and, just helping their people.
Yeah.
I'm
It's what I call the Araminta model. So Araminta was the name of Harriet Tubman. She was also named Araminta. I call her Araminta.
yes.
And her model was, okay, I've gotten free, but I don't feel free unless my other people are free.
Right.
So it's not enough for me to find my way to freedom. I would like to bring other people to freedom. And that's what we're talking about. Are you the person who would get free and then just live a life of opulence and quiet while your people are suffering? Or would you do the Harriet Tubman model, which is risk everything so that the other people can learn the paths to freedom that you've already have endeavored upon? Like Harriet Tubman didn't have to come back. She really didn't.
She did.
But she did. Like some of us are built like that. And some of us think that we're built like that. But we find out that most people are not built like that. It sounds good, but wait till you all get money in your pocket and see what type of person you really are. Get $1 million in your pocket and then come talk to me about what type of person you really are. Because everyone thinks that they're a good person, but a lot of people end up behaving like the people that they hate. And what's going to happen is that good people would be good people whether they have money or not.
Right.
And what we want to do is really, we just want to make sure that the good people are the ones who make economic come-ups. Because if a good person gets $1 million, it does much more for the world than a bad person getting 500,000 or 10 million. Because what happens is that good person wants to spread their knowledge on how do you get free using the Underground Railroad.
Right.
She didn't want to keep it to herself and hoard that information to herself. She wanted to let you know these are the ways that a lot of people don't even know, like the Underground Railroad, they use the Dinka symbols. That's another conversation. Yeah, they use the Dinka. So a lot of people don't know what Dinka is. The Dinka is West African
Ghanaian.
script. Yeah. Right. So they used a Dinka symbols because a lot of the Africans were still remembering their their lineage. Like Harriet Tubman's mother, I believe, was from Benin area or Dahomey area. And so they still have their traditions and they still had, a lot of their memory in place. And so they were able to use script that the Europeans didn't know about. And they used the Dinka and they used Dinka symbols to say, oh, go east this way, go west that way. Something to be studied, you know what I'm saying?
Fact.
But this is just what we do when we decide that we want an end game, that we're going to use all of our intelligence and all of our ancestral memory towards good for our people. Some of us are built like that. Some of us are not. Some of us, we like to be divisive and we like to, the low-hanging fruit of division. Some of us like that. And then some of us are about liberating our people, irrespective of whatever. So we just hope that we have more of those people listening than the other types of people. And that's, I'm only about empowering good people. You know what I mean? So hopefully good people are tuned in and y'all are taking this seriously and you all are deciding that, hey, I'm going to look at my income and I'm going to look at 20%, what I could do with this 20% in dollar cost average and change your family's life and look to hold on to this and pass it down to your children. That's what it boils down to, y'all. That's the formula. And a brother's asking here, did he miss the SpaceX? Yeah, if you're asking, you missed it. So just go back into the program. I did it in probably marker 1 hour or 1.5 hours in. Yes. I talked extensively about SpaceX and my analysis of it. So Ayatoro, just when the show's over, just scroll back. Since you're watching on Facebook, it'll still be on my Facebook. You can scroll back and watch that and get the information that you need. All right. It was a very detailed analysis. All right. So we are at the end of the show. I actually have another call I got to make.
Indeed, my brother.
But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Red Pill. And thank you, Sankofa Revolutionary Radio. And I wish you all health and wealth. And we'll be back Monday and Tuesday of next week. Bless up, everybody.
Bless up. Peace, love, and light.